Forge Master of Fuses. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 126. Rent? Move? They all understood renting out the savage galaxy, but how to explain the word move? 4 words suddenly flashed through Song Si's mind: misappropriation of public funds. This is definitely against the rules, but if handled properly, it can be a big deal or a small deal. What's more, Song Yuanqi still has a gold medal of immunity from death in his hand. It depends on how to move it and where to use it. Song Si's eyes narrowed dangerously. How to move it? Tang Fan ignored the low pressure around Song Si, laughed, and said directly, some things can be done, and some can't be done. If the word move is used well, it can also be called a long-term investment. For example, the maintenance fee of Mecha has a lot of room for operation. Tang Fan only said half of his words. But Song Si's mind immediately turned. As a shareholder of Tang's Mecha, he was standing in front of the CEO of Tang's Mecha. The maintenance fee of Mecha was just a matter of his left and right hands. There was nothing wrong with using it to build a military training base. Song Si clapped his hands and laughed. Your idea is good, why didn't I think of this? However, the maintenance of this Mecha cannot be stopped, and Boss Tang has to support the work. Faced with Song Si's behavior of taking advantage of the situation, Tang Fan silently rolled his eyes. You also forgot that you are also a shareholder of Tang's Mecha. Don't you have to consider it for Tang's Mecha? There is nothing wrong with this. But Song Si is really the last to use his power for personal gain under the nose of Marshal Song. What do you want? Tell me first. Tang Fan knocked on his palm and said slowly, although the location of Basil Star is convenient, it is sandwiched between the spheres of influence of the Expeditionary Army and the Blackwater Army, and its defense is weak. What if someone has bad intentions? Hearing the music and knowing the elegant meaning. Tang Fan had only said half of the words, and in connection with the words she just said, Song Si immediately understood the other half. Except R15, I can rent any planet you like in the Savage Galaxy to you on behalf of the Expeditionary Force. How about the rent? I can use the Mecha maintenance fee to pay for it. Tang Fan nodded with a smile, and on the star map of the Savage Galaxy, he just happened to land on R25, which is next to R15. It is a gray-brown planet with good air, but lacks freshwater resources, no vegetation and animals, and star plants and star beasts are extinct. The only advantage is that it is close to R15. Song Si praised without hesitation. This place is good, with a large area and few people, and it is absolutely safe. Tang Fan nodded with a smile. I think so too. Song Si smiled and tried to test. Although the cost is settled, the management of the Mecha maintenance fee and the cost of military base construction, Tang Fan understood what Song Si meant, but he didn't want to accept it. She rolled her eyes and said with a smile, Instructor Song, don't stare at me all day long. Principal Lan has all kinds of talents. If you like that one, just talk to him. Song Si could see that Tang Fan was trying to shirk responsibility, but the money was not easy to come by, so he had to be extra careful when using it. Even Song Si was worried about handing it over to a rookie, let alone Song Yuanqi. It's a serious matter. I don't feel at ease if I leave it to someone else. We are master and apprentice. You can't just stand by and watch someone die, right? Tang Fan shook his head and said with a smile, it's because it's a serious matter that I don't dare to take it. Otherwise, you can find Director Fang. First, Director Fang has a military rank and can be considered as one of the expeditionary forces. It's easier to get things done with one's own people. Second, Director Fang has experience and ability. Look at the Blue Sea Mecha Academy and Principal Lan. There have been no problems for so many years. Managing a little Mecha maintenance fees and military base construction costs, isn't that a piece of cake? This pot was thrown to his wife in front of Lan Yuan, and it was thrown so quickly, fiercely and accurately. But it also made people feel that she was selfless and very reasonable. Song Si sighed that Tang Fan's ability to pass the pot was not as good as his. However, thinking that there was no need to ask Fang Mian himself, even though he knew that Tang Fan was passing the pot, Song Si did not expose her. A forced melon is not sweet. Since you don't want to, I can't force you, just leave it to the old man to worry about it. Although the Mecha maintenance fee can only solve the immediate problem, it is just a drop in the bucket for the construction of the Savage Galaxy. However, I have completed the task. We have almost finished the business, let's chat about family matters. Just hearing this sentence, Tang Fan knew that he had been sold out by the old man Lan Yuan. I don't know what instructor Song wants to talk about. Song Si laughed. How about talking about the red gold mine? Tang Fan's little abacus in his heart was discovered, and he didn't hide it, and said it directly. I just got a message from a senior that there is a red gold mine on the planet R15, which is an important raw material for manufacturing mechas. So, I came to take a look. Tang Fan gave the bottom line, and Song Si was also direct. R15's infrastructure is already in place, and it's a good time for the expeditionary force to set a benchmark. Mining must be postponed. Tang Fan nodded. I understand this. So, I didn't mention it. Song Si shook his head. Since you have this idea, it's better to bring it up as soon as possible. Although we can't mine, other work can still be done. For example, preliminary surveys and so on. Tang Fan was a little stunned. Instructor Song, which one of your words should I listen to? Song Si laughed. That sentence is all from the bottom of my heart. R15 must make achievements, but Tang's mecha cannot be compared with Zhang's mecha. We have to do both things well. Do preliminary surveys first. If it does not affect development, both sides can proceed at the same time. If it affects development, we will find another way to do it. Tang Fan nodded heavily and asked, how to develop? Is Tang responsible or is the expeditionary force responsible? What will happen after mining? Song Si pursed her lips. Professional matters should be left to professionals. I feel more at ease if Director Henry leads the team to mine the red gold mine. As for the mined ore, it will be processed on your territory. When the time comes, 50% of the market value will be transferred to the Expeditionary Army account. Tang Fan nodded happily. Deal. Since the matter was settled, Song Si ignored his father's tangled expression, waved his sleeves and left. The remaining details and contract signing were all left to Tang Fan, Song Yuanxi and Lan Yuan to discuss. In the end, even the marshal's wife and Fang Mian were alarmed and joined in. On a bright afternoon, Marshal Song Yuanxi, Principal Lan Yuan and Tang Fan, the head of Tang's mecha, signed the famous Savage Galaxy three-party development agreement. The lease rights and red gold mining and processing rights that Tang Fan asked for from Song Si were finally implemented. The agreement signed in the name of Tang's mecha and the expeditionary force was a reassurance to Tang Fan. Tang Fan smiled and promised that he would send the money borrowed from the Song family, including the principal and interest, and the year-end dividends at the end of the year to support the construction of the Savage Galaxy. Chapter 127 Mine. The mecha maintenance fee allocated by the military to the Expeditionary Army was not much, but in the hands of Fang Mian, a woman who could make a penny into 8 petals, of course it had to be used to the greatest extent. The first thing she did when she took the helm was to open the bidding. The bidding notice was directly published on the Star Network, and all suppliers with relevant qualifications were invited to participate in the bidding. Suppliers who meet the material standards have only one chance to bid, and the lowest bidder wins. Of course, a large part of the materials were bought for Tang Fan. After all, the principle of large quantities and better prices is understood. Fang Mian is a woman with strong action ability, and she is also fast, fierce, steady and accurate in bidding. Within 3 days, Fang Mian had solved thousands of materials and thousands of suppliers. Next, it was Fang Mian's time to urge the delivery. Carrying the banner of the Expeditionary Army, Fang Mian was not polite to the suppliers. There are requirements for the progress of the project, and no delays are accepted. The goods must be delivered to the door. Of course, it is not impossible to change to self-pickup. The 3 times liquidated damages will be paid first, and then the freight will be paid. The expeditionary force will immediately send people to deliver the goods on the same day. You can challenge the willfulness of the financial director Fang Mian. You will bear the consequences at your own risk. It was not until this time that the suppliers realized that most of them had overlooked the biggest problem of supplying goods to the Savage Galaxy, transportation. To be precise, it is how to reach the Savage Galaxy, dock there, land and unload. Fang Mian also knew that when a dog is desperate, it will jump over the wall. He mercifully sent a star map of the Savage Galaxy to each supplier. There are many planets in the vast Savage Galaxy star map, but there are only orange dots with ports distributed on Hematite, Diki and Billuo. Seeing such a star map, the corners of the suppliers' mouths twitched and their eyes went dark. Billuo is closed, and Diki has an agricultural protection policy. Hematite is their only choice. Large and small suppliers, Starships of different models will dock at Hematite one after another in a short period of time. In just half a month, the Red Iron planet went from being deserted to being bustling. With more people, all walks of life have developed. Food, clothing, housing and transportation have all become prosperous. Song Yuanshi encouraged the alliance leaders to upgrade the planet directly. Red Iron planet went from a low-level 9th-level planet to a 7th-level planet. The planet management fee that Zhang Awei had to pay every year immediately increased several times. It was that Zhang Awei had not woken up yet, otherwise, she would definitely jump up and fight with Song Yuanshi. But the suppliers were very satisfied. After all, the policies of the 7th-level planet are different, and the requirements for supporting facilities are also different. Although it cannot be compared with the higher-level ones, it is simply heaven compared to the 9th-level planet. At the very least, the port's throughput and the difficulty of entering and leaving the port are incomparable. The deadline on the contract is there, and the 3 times the penalty is written in black and white. If they miss it because of the port problem, who can they go to for justice? In the eyes of most suppliers, Feng Mian is an unreasonable financial director. Similarly, in their eyes, the Savage Galaxy is a barren land. But after arriving, they realize that the Savage Galaxy is not as desolate as they imagined. At least, the first 3 of the 4 things of food, clothing, housing and transportation are solved. Even though the people in front of them are wearing the same uniforms, eating different flavors of nutritional supplements for 3 meals a day, living in retro tree houses, and providing them with nothing else, at least they have enough food and clothing. Especially those unique tree houses, after getting used to them, they are still a bit cute. So cute that if R-15 opens a port, they may even consider cooperating again. Businessmen are so fickle. Seeing the materials arrive one after another, R-15 is so excited. A good cook cannot cook without rice. After so much hardship, they can finally turn the things on the design into reality. Even when they are free, they also draw design drawings for R-25. Both sides started work at the same time, but the progress is not quite the same. The effect of R-25 is not very obvious, but the port of R-15 is erected at a speed visible to the naked eye. In less than a month, the small starship berthing port at the edge of R-15 was built first and put into use. At the same time, Henry also led the team to complete the preliminary survey of the red gold mine. Fortunately, the location of the red gold mine is not far from the port, but it is in a different direction from the treehouse, so it does not affect the construction of the R-15 planet. Unfortunately, because it is too close to the port, it cannot be started before the port is completed and the material suppliers leave. Tang Fan was very upset, but he had nowhere to complain. Since the mining business could not be done for a while, Tang Fan simply concentrated on construction. R-25 planet does not need to dock any large starships, just a small starship berthing port, a few factory buildings and some dormitory buildings. Although the progress is slow, it can't stand this small amount of work. In addition, what Tang Fan bought in the early stage were all simple factory buildings that were one piece. When the port of planet R-15 was almost completed, the factory of planet R-25 was basically formed. Tang's mecha had not yet arrived, but Henry, with his team, dragged a full set of equipment from mining to refining, and moved in first. R-15's geology was not very bad, but the mining was going smoothly. Tang Fan came here halfway under the pretext of sending year-end dividends to the Expeditionary Army, just in time for the first batch of red gold ore to come out. Although the quality of the finished products was only average, Tang Fan was very satisfied. For mecha casting, materials are the most important thing. In addition to red gold ore, Tang Fan is also very interested in hematite. The current hematite planet is not as deserted as before, and Zhang Awei is sick, which is a good time to infiltrate. It was a rare opportunity for Tang Fan to come out, so he sneaked back and asked old Robert to plunder all the hematite he could get. With several space buckles of ore, Tang Fan returned to the Blue Sea Mecha Academy with satisfaction. With these 2 kinds of minerals, Tang Fan and Zhao Jingshu finally found a tiny crack in their design bottleneck. Just this tiny crack was enough to make them ecstatic. After all, it's a new idea, right? While Tang Fan and Zhao Jingshu were ecstatic, Willie Smith encountered a rare Waterloo in his life. It was already frustrating enough that the design that was originally a sure thing had become a piece of empty talk due to the lack of materials. Unfortunately, the material was a specialty of their own territory. This was simply like a joke. Willie Smith stood in the center of the administrative hall of Red Iron Star, shaking with anger. Check it carefully, he wanted to see who was against him. Chapter 128, Changing Posts. Hematite is not a place to get to the bottom of things. The people here are mixed, and everyone has their own secrets. Knowing too much will only make you die faster. Digging into the root of things is a taboo. They only remember people and things that are helpful to them, and never care about those that are not beneficial to them. It is normal for them to sell hematite when someone pays them. Do you want to ask who bought it? Half of the people on hematite are involved. After half a month of entanglement, they finally found out about old Robert. But Robert's mouth is tighter than a clam shell. He can't pry it open with coercion, inducement, soft and hard tactics. After asking back and forth, he only said a few words. Someone paid him to collect hematite, so he helped collect it. The standard starship arrived at the port, and the money was paid and the goods were delivered. The other party did not show his face, and he didn't care who the other party was. In other words, he didn't know. This answer made Willie Smith so angry that he was like a Buddha ascending to heaven, and two Buddhas were born. They didn't get the news from Robert, but the news came to them automatically. A father and son named Donald and Bob came to the door and said that they were relatives of Willie Smith and had interesting news. Willie Smith was not interested in relatives, especially those with the surname Smith. He was interested in the news they had. No matter how reluctant he was, Willie Smith still received the father and son. Willie could not tell the relationship between Donald and Bob from their round faces and chubby bodies. After a few perfunctory words, he led the topic to the main business. Donald and Bob were Willie's opponents. After a few words, Willie got the news out of them. The one who acquired the hematite was none other than Tang Fan. In order to confirm the accuracy of his news, Donald also took out a video. It was a video of Tang Fan meeting Robert. Although it was not a scene of the transaction, it could prove a lot of things. Seeing this, Willie finally became interested. In order to get closer, Donald spared no effort to talk more about Tang Fan. Unfortunately, no matter how hard Donald and Bob tried, Tang Fan's memory always remained in the year when he built the mechanical arm. That year, he was 7 years old. Don't ask about anything before that. Even if you ask, you don't know. Donald and Bob, who value Tang Fan so much, only remember Tang Fan's 7-year-old life, and the other people on Hematite Star can't remember anything. The only one who knows clearly is probably Robert. But Willie felt that it was unlikely that he could pry anything out of him. That old man is very bad. He never tells the truth. Hematite fell into the hands of Tang Fan, who knew only a little about it, and it was basically impossible to dig it out. The research and development of Zhang's Black Level Mecha can only be postponed. In order to ensure the smooth progress of the development of the Black Level Mecha, Willie Smith handed over the control of Hematite Star to Bob. As for Donald, Willie Smith felt that this little fat boy had the potential to be a lackey, so he directly stuffed him into the nearest Alliance Technical College to study. Donald and Bob, the father and son, successfully counterattacked by betraying Robert and Tang Fan and reached the peak of their lives. But such a peak of life is far from that of Tang Fan, who became the CEO, and Tang Gang, who sat firmly as the leader of the Expeditionary Corps. Robert could not hide the fact that Donald and Bob, the father and son, had informed on him. Robert cursed a few words behind his back and directly shared the news with Tang Gang, who was obsessed with his daughter. He could not deal with the father and son, but he believed that Tang Gang could. After all, this guy was preparing to build a training base in the Savage Galaxy when he had nothing to ask for. It would be easy for him to deal with Donald and Bob, right? Unfortunately, Tang Gang was busy with the construction of the R-15 planet, and had no time. He was busy. After digging up the maintenance fee of the Expeditionary Army Mecha, and spending the principal, interest and year-end dividends of the Song family father and son on the Tang family Mecha, the port of the R-15 planet was built, but there was no sign of roads and bridges. If you want to establish the planet R-15 and turn it into a qualified garrison, you can't do it without supporting facilities such as roads and bridges. The Expeditionary Army is not crying poor in front of the people of the whole alliance, they are really poor. The last part of the funds was actually donated by Marshal Song Yuanshi, and the Expeditionary Army responded actively and barely gathered the funds. Tang Gang is holding this batch of materials bought with credit points, how can he not pay attention to it? After finally completing it, the 1-year term is over, and the matter of changing positions is on the agenda again. After a year of hard work, Tang Gang finally made it. Although he has to live with a different identity, He and this group of new recruits who followed him to build the planet R-15 have truly become members of the Expeditionary Army. They are all new. New commander, new soldiers, new environment, new beginning. They have shared joys and sorrows and have become the brand new 9th Legion of the Expeditionary Army. Compared with the previous 8 legions, their selection criteria are special, and their combat capabilities may not be comparable, but their cohesion is unmatched by them. Such a group of soldiers must be well protected. Dealing with scum like Donald and Bob would only dirty their hands. However, Tang Gang had already made a note of this matter in his little black book. When the time is right, he will settle the matter with the father and son. The 7th Regiment sent by Song Yuanshi to replace the guard arrived at the planet R-15 in the Savage Galaxy. Tang Gang, or Tang Chen, led all the soldiers to the expeditionary base camp. Because they stayed in the Savage Galaxy for too long and did not participate in the recruit training, Song Yuanshi arranged for them to make up for the recruit training with the next batch of trainee recruits. The people in the base camp did not think much of this group of rookies, including their leader Tang Chen. In their eyes, if it were not for coincidence, most of them would not be able to meet the selection standards of the Expeditionary Army, even if they stood on tiptoe. But when the 2 batches of recruits were brought together and compared, they found that they were wrong. This group of soldiers who participated in the construction of R-15 had an extraordinary collective consciousness, teamwork spirit, 100% tacit understanding, and strong willpower. Even though some of them are not combat professionals, they are better than combat professional veterans in many training subjects. As for the later batch of trainee recruits, they can't catch up. What is the reason? Many people don't understand. But Song Yuanshi saw it, Song Si saw it, and Tang Chen saw it. What you learn from books is shallow, and you must practice it to know it. Training on the playground is training, but labor on the planet R-15 is also training. Those labor trainings of working together, making progress together, and fighting pressure together are more practical, more effective, and more specific than the boring training on the playground day after day. The presentation effect is naturally better. Since it is useful, we should continue to use it. Song Yuanshi greatly shortened the playground training of the recruits and switched to labor training. Finally, the training of new recruits in the Expeditionary Army changed to another way. Training by labor and training by doing have become the characteristics of the Expeditionary Army. Features that others can't learn even if they want to. After all, a purely natural military training base like the Savage Galaxy is exclusively owned by the Expeditionary Force and cannot be imitated. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 129 Arrangement. Compared to Song Yuanshi's late realization, Tang Fan realized the benefits of training by doing. Although there were some traitors in the previous batch of students, Tang Fan still signed an internship contract with the mecha casting department of the Blue Sea Mecha Academy and sent this batch of interns to William. As long as half of them can stay, Tang Fan feels that his efforts have not been in vain. The actions of Song Yuanshi and Tang Fan were seen by those who were interested. Willie Smith followed suit and listened to Olivia's advice to collect the interns from the mecha casting department of the First Alliance Academy. Tang Fan really didn't take Willie Smith's imitation seriously. There is a big difference between the Blue Sea Mecha Academy and the First Alliance Academy. The Blue Sea Mecha Academy recruits students based on their strength regardless of their background. Among them, 80% of the students are civilian students, with no foundation or faction in their families, and cherish every job opportunity. But the First Alliance Academy is different. It is located on the capital star. A sign fell and killed 10 students, and at least 8 of them were second-generation students, either rich or noble. The remaining 2 are still relatives of someone. This is not recruiting interns, but worshipping a group of ancestors. Willie Smith made a terrible move. Perhaps, he is just teaching his daughter with practical actions? However, the tuition fee is a bit expensive. Or, is Willie Smith planning to win over the relationship regardless of the cost? Tang Fan is not a worm in Willie's stomach. If she can't figure it out, she simply doesn't think about it. Taking advantage of the winter vacation, she simply took Zhao Jingshu with her and went to Basil Star in person to take the first batch of old employees to the new factory in the Savage Galaxy, and closed the door to play with her black level mecha. As for the interns, Tang Fan was particularly relieved to leave them to William. Tang Fan, Zhao Jingshu, and Henry got together, and there were enough materials, so the progress was rapid. In just half a month, Tang Fan completed the casting of a full set of 4 mechas under the guidance of Henry and the supervision of Zhao Jingshu. According to the requirements of Henry and Zhao Jingshu, plus Tang Fan's own experience, he made some modifications. Before the Lunar New Year, it was finally made. Black level mechas are not as good as purple level mechas. They are expensive and have complicated processes. Mass production is impossible, and Tang Fan can't do it even if he kills him. Tang Fan decisively chose the method of live broadcast plus ordering. As for the purple level mecha, it should be a good choice to dig up Mr. Zhao. However, I can't get away from this end. In desperation, Tang Fan could only contact William and run a trip on his behalf. As soon as Tang Fan contacted William, William turned around and sold Tang Fan. Fortunately, he didn't sell it to others, but to Tang Fan's biological father. Tang Gang happened to be on vacation, and smiled and asked William to carry out Tang Fan's task, and said he would pick him up when the time came. William went to Sangzi Star in confusion. Seeing William, Lao Bu's face turned green. Since William followed Tang Fan, every time he met William, nothing good happened. He wanted to put up a sign at the port of Sangzi Star with a line of big words on it. Tang Fan and related personnel are not allowed to enter. William didn't fail to see Lao Bu's cold face, but he had the ability to pretend not to see it. Not only did he greet Lao Bu warmly, but he also stuffed a gift into Lao Bu's arms. Don't hit a smiling person. Besides, after the gift is given, when the time comes to poach someone, the conscience will not be so painful, right? Lao Bu saw through William's plan at a glance, held William's hand, and sneered, honestly, what bad thing did Tang Fan send you to do again? William stopped his hand and admitted it directly. She asked me to poach people. Lao Bu touched his chin. She wants to poach Lao Zhao. William nodded. The black level mecha will be on the market soon, and the order for the purple level mecha has not been completed. Mr. Henry cannot be hired, so I can only ask Mr. Zhao to come out. Lao Bu pursed his lips. Mr. Zhao is a waste of talent here, but I also need technical backbones here, right? In other words, you can ask for people, but you have to exchange them. William thought about it and decided that it would not be difficult to have the new employees take turns on business trips to support the construction of Sangzi Star, so he happily agreed. Tang Gang did not let William wait too long. As soon as William and Mr. Zhao Jiang had agreed on the salary, Tang Gang came to pick him up. Seeing Tang Gang's impatience, William and Lao Bu laughed. Facing the old man's jokes, Tang Gang was not annoyed at all. Instead, he was quite proud of his daughter's control. After laughing and making a fuss, everyone boarded the starship. Seeing Mr. Zhao enter the room, the smile on Tang Gang's face suddenly disappeared, his jaw unconsciously tightened, and his eyes really turned cold. As soon as William saw this posture, he knew that Tang Gang's coming here today was not just to pick someone up. What happened? Tang Gang pursed his lips, and a chill emanated from his body. Just got the news. The new nurse, while on duty, clicked on a learning video. The speaker is Anna Smith. When she heard her voice, she reacted strongly. When William heard this, his brows furrowed. Then why don't you go to the hospital, but come here? Tang Gang glanced at William. I have to connect with Afan and Jingshu. William looked at Tang Gang in disbelief. After all, she is Afan's biological mother. It's okay for you to connect with Afan, but what do you think about connecting with Zhao Jingshu? Zhao Jingshu is your girlfriend, and the old mother of your Tang family? You'd better pay attention. A strange thought flashed through Tang Gang's mind. No wonder this guy got married and had children as soon as he became an adult before he graduated. He was injured and became a weakling, but Betty didn't abandon him. Is this the case? Soon, Tang Gang dismissed this thought and said with guilt, I am sorry for her. William patted his shoulder. Since you know everything, be nice to her. Tang Gang nodded. I know. He always knew what he was doing and what he should do. He had to take Afan away, and similarly, he had to take Zhao Jingshu away. Not only for them to watch Mang Mang, but also for them to move to another place. Others could stay in this wild galaxy, but they couldn't. The arrival of William and Mr. Zhao was a natural joy for Tang Fan. But Tang Gang's arrival was an unexpected surprise for her and even Zhao Jingshu. The two women surrounded Tang Gang and asked about his well-being, which made William feel like he had eaten 5.5 lemons, and his whole body was full of sourness. They are all human beings, but why is the difference between people so big? Mr. Zhao patted William on the shoulder and sighed. It's okay, life is long. You will get used to having so many sons sooner or later. William felt like an 80-meter-long knife was stuck in his chest. Chapter 130. Because what William didn't expect was that Tang Gang said he knew, but he still told Tang Fan and Zhao Jingshu about Tang Mangan's situation without hesitation, and suggested that the two of them go with him to Hongyu Star to visit Tang Mangan. What William didn't expect was that Tang Fan, who was always very opinionated, nodded and agreed without hesitation. As for Zhao Jingshu, who only followed Tang Gang's lead, it was even more so. Tang Fan also postponed the live broadcast that he was halfway through preparing, and planned to talk about it after arriving at Hongyu Star. William simply didn't understand this operation. He really wanted to follow and see what was going on, but unfortunately, if you hold someone's bowl, you have to obey their management. Apart from anything else, Mr. Zhao was the person he took over, and he had to settle him. In addition, he hadn't seen the group of old employees that Tang Fan brought over for a long time, and he had to keep in touch with them. Tang Gang left with his wife and children, but William could only stay on the planet R25 of the Savage Galaxy to clean up the mess for Tang Fan, the hands-off boss. William felt that he had to find time to talk to Tang Fan about the issue of salary increase. William was full of doubts. He had just dealt with the things at hand. He was lying in the rest cabin watching Tang Fan's live broadcast when he heard the alarm on the neighboring planet R15. Logically, the Savage Galaxy had just been completed. There were only the alert 7th Corps of the Expeditionary Force and the new recruits who were training instead of working. Nothing unexpected would happen. Now it was so abnormal that it aroused William's strong interest. After hesitating for 3 seconds, William simply gave up Tang Fan's video and went out in his slippers. At a glance, William saw the abnormality. Although the alarm was ringing, R15 was unusually calm, without any signs of panic. William took out a telescope and looked in the direction of the Hematite Star. A black battleship with a black skull flag and a standard starship was surrounding a silver-white merchant ship with the emblem of Zhang's Mecha. The light energy cannons were blasting around the merchant ship. The threat was too obvious. Did the Black Skull Star pirates intercept the merchant ship of Zhang's Mecha? This may be the biggest joke of this year, no, this century. William almost spit out his mouth. He suddenly understood why Tang Gang wanted to take Tang Fan and Zhao Jingshu away. Tang Fan took a batch of hematite on the Hematite Star, which greatly delayed the development of Zhang's Mecha. With Willie Smith's cautiousness, this time, he should go to the Hematite Star in person to pick up the goods. I don't know where Tang Gang got the inside information from. He had already planned everything and was waiting for Willie Smith to come. Tang Fan, as the CEO of Tang's Mecha, and Zhao Jingshu, as the designer of Tang's Mecha, at this moment, staying within the range covered by the Hematite Star map, it is easy for people to put the pot on their shit. William, who finally came to his senses, jumped on the Mecha with great interest, rose to the highest altitude, recorded the wonder in front of him, and shared it with Tang Gang far away on the Red Moon Star in real time. Wearing an old black thin cotton jacket, Tang Gang, who was watching the video, grinned and hummed a little song, not hiding his bad taste at all. The colorful light energy cannon in front of him was much more beautiful than those damn fireworks. Ao Long, who was standing by, rubbed his high nose bridge, which was slightly red from the cold, and said with a smile, "This trick is too bad, I can tell at a glance that you came up with it." Tang Gang picked up a large piece of ice from the plate in front of him, put it in his mouth, and bit it. No matter how bad he is, can he be worse than Willie Smith? Is this tacit agreement? Ao Long smiled and shook his head. Don't compare the good ones, you compare with him. This made sense. Tang Gang was speechless. Ao Long tapped his light brain and squinted his eyes. Your Mangan reacted to Anna Smith's voice. Have you ever thought about using this video to stimulate her? Maybe it will be better. In Ao Long's eyes, Tang Gang was good in everything, but the point of sister control and daughter control was a bit too much. Especially Tang Mangan, because he was afraid that she would suffer a second injury. He directly locked Tang Mangan in a vacuum treatment room. If it weren't for the new nurse's irregular little action that stimulated Tang Meng, Ao Long believed that Tang Gang would continue to lock Tang Meng up like this until her breathing stopped. In Ao Long's opinion, whether Tang Meng encountered a scumbag or was in a coma for more than 10 years, the main reason was the overprotection of the Tang family. In this case, it would be fine if she was stimulated. Why not let Tang Meng face it? Little girl. Who hasn't encountered a few scumbags? Apart from anything else, Tang Gang himself was a scumbag in dealing with Zhao Jingshu. It will be fine after getting over this hurdle. Aolong's words made Tang Gang stunned. The things he subconsciously avoided were suddenly spread out in the sun by Aolong, and Tang Gang was embarrassed for a moment. Think about it again. After saying that, Tang Gang ran away in a hurry. Looking at Tang Gang's back, Aolong couldn't help frowning. Aolong pinched his red nose and walked towards Tang Fan's residence step by step. Tang Fan had just finished a live broadcast and stood up, and saw Aolong wandering outside her room. She raised her eyebrows, grabbed a coat, and walked out. Seeing the thin girl coming out, Aolong hurried forward to stop her, rubbing his hands, and nervously said, "Hello. My name is Aolong. We have met before." It was the first time for Aolong to talk to a little girl, and he didn't know what to say. Fortunately, Tang Fan was impressed by this big shot on the field of starship casting and didn't mind his nervousness. "Hello, Mr. Aolong. Is there anything I can help you with?" Seeing that the little girl still remembered him, Aolong's nervousness eased a little. He organized his words and blurted out the suggestions he had made to Tang Gang and his concerns about Tang Gang's overprotection of Tang Mang. Aolong was a little confused at first, but after meeting Tang Fan's encouraging eyes, he gradually became bolder, and the more he spoke, the smoother and more excited he became. Objectively speaking, Aolong's suggestion was very feasible, and Tang Fan himself had thought about it before. However, considering Tang Gang's feelings, Tang Fan did not make it hastily. Now that Aolong has made it, it can be regarded as a great help to Tang Fan. She took Aolong and contacted the attending physician, and listened to the doctor's professional opinion. After knowing that this plan was extremely feasible, Tang Fan actively sought Zhao Jingshu, and then found Tang Gang. Seeing Tang Fan, Zhao Jingshu, Aolong and the attending physician visit together, the wavering balance in Tang Gang's heart finally tilted. After the four people persuaded him with all their strength, Tang Gang finally nodded and agreed to the attending physician's collapse therapy plan. Of course, the material used was not the video shared by William in real time, but the various speeches given by Mr. Willie Smith over the years. However, what was surprising was that Tang Meng was actually very calm, so calm that people thought that what the doctor observed was just Tang Meng's instinctive reflex to external stimuli. Chapter 131 Persuasion. When the attending physician played Anna Smith's video again, Tang Meng actually reacted again. Faced with this result, the attending physician reasonably speculated that the damage caused by Miss Anna Smith to Tang Meng might be greater than that caused by Willie Smith. So, Anna Smith's teaching video was once again moved to Tang Meng's treatment room. The Tang family father and daughter have never been magnanimous people. In the little black book in their hearts, they successfully added Anna Smith's name. Tang Meng's treatment is still barely moving forward in the trial, but Tang Fan's live broadcast is gradually coming to an end. The big stone in her heart has finally fallen to the ground. Being able to release the news of the black level mecha before Zhang's mecha has finally saved some of Tang's mecha's disadvantages. As for the number of orders, Tang Fan didn't take it to heart. The manufacture of black level mecha is only to prove the strength of Tang's mecha. The focus of Tang's mecha is still the standard mecha and purple level mecha with the largest audience. Before she grows strong enough, she can win as long as she maintains the current market share. If you take a big step, you will get involved in something. Tang Fan is very self-aware. She knows that she was able to get ahead of Zhang's mecha, not only because she dug all the hematite on Hematite Star in advance with the help of Robert, but also because her father robbed Willie Smith on the road. She also knows that coming to Red Moon Star with Zhao Jingshu is not very useful. Tang Gang also forced them to come here just to keep them away from Hematite Star and the attack on Willie Smith. However, Tang Gang didn't know that she really couldn't have any mother-daughter affection for the weak woman lying in the treatment room. Although they have the same ears and forehead, Tang Fan can't like this girl as long as she thinks about how stupid she was to fall into the hands of the Zhang family and cheat the whole family. If possible, she would rather her parents were Tang Gang and Zhao Jingshu. But life is not satisfactory. The woman named Tang Mangan gave birth to her, so she has to be responsible for Tang Mangan. No matter how reluctant she was, Tang Fan went to the hospital to see Tang Mang 3 times a day, and settled and prepaid 1 year's treatment fee. As soon as Tang Fan walked into the hospital, he saw Zhao Jingshu guarding the door of the ward. You don't need to look to know that Tang Mang is receiving treatment, and Tang Gang, of course, is also guarding her cheap mother. Tang Fan just felt a headache. Her father is good in every way, but the one about love is too worrying. Tang Fan silently stood beside Zhao Jingshu and looked at the treatment room. Tang Gang really made things worse in there. Tang Fan curled his lips, pulled Zhao Jingshu and whispered, "My father is a little silly, he likes to take everything on his shoulders, you should bear it." Zhao Jingshu turned her head and glanced at Tang Fan, and smiled. "I have known him for more than 20 years, and I know him best. It's not a bad thing to love to take things. If he can't take anything, I will look down on him." Tang Fan was stunned at first, and then laughed softly. She understood the truth, but seeing her boyfriend so concerned about another woman, even if that woman was her sister from the same mother, she could still have no grudges. In all these years, she has only met one Zhao Jingshu. Her father was lucky to meet Zhao Jingshu. Therefore, she hoped that Tang Gang would spend more time and energy on herself or Zhao Jingshu. Unfortunately, Tang Fan did not wait for this day until the end of the holiday. It is really sad to hear about it and shed tears to see it. Fortunately, they found a chance to fall in love, and Zhao Jingshu did not despise it. Tang Fan and Zhao Jingshu quietly packed their luggage and prepared to leave Hongqiao Star. Tang Gang seemed to remember something, frowned, and found Aolong. "Brother, help me." Aolong glanced at Tang Gang, his eyes full of vigilance. "You tell me first." Tang Gang raised his chin in the direction of Tang Fan. "Help me keep an eye on the girl." Aolong almost jumped up when he heard this. "I am an 8th level Starship Foundry engineer, and I am going to be a nanny for your child? Is it justified?" Tang Gang touched his chin and said firmly, "I don't think so." Aolong almost spit out a mouthful of blood. He shouldn't talk to a daughter control person. In the eyes of a daughter control person, their baby is always the best and deserves the best in the world. What is an 8th level Starship Foundry engineer? A 9th level Starship Foundry engineer can only be regarded as not disdainful. He discussed this with Tang Gang, which was completely asking for trouble. "I studied Starship Foundry, not Mecha Foundry. You should ask Henry for help. If it doesn't work, ask your wife or Go Seogu, that's fine too." Tang Gang considered all these people, but none of them were suitable. Henry's duty is to guard the red gold mine in the Savage Galaxy, and it is impossible for him to go back in a short time. Zhao Jingshu and I have been reunited for so long, but we haven't had a few serious dates yet. In what capacity should I let her take care of Tang Fan? Go Seogu, that Sister Khan, probably doesn't know that he and Jingshu are together. Otherwise, he would have jumped out to interfere. Tang Gang dared not even think about asking him to take care of Tang Fan. Lan Yuan is too busy, and the others are too incompetent. After thinking about it, Aolong is the most suitable. By the way, he can also give Tang Fan some lessons and talk about starship casting. Is there any law that stipulates that those who study mecha casting can't learn starship casting? That girl is very interested in starship casting and has a talent for casting. You won't lose. Aolong snorted and didn't answer. Tang Gang could only continue to work hard. Don't you want to open a starship foundry? My child has experience in this matter. She has experience, you have skills, learn from each other, maybe this thing will work. After hearing this, Aolong fell into deep thought. Seeing that he was somewhat tempted, Tang Gang gave the final blow. As an 8th level Starship Foundry Master, you are hiding in the Red Moon Star, not looking for 2 apprentices to pass on your craft? Let's not talk about her child for now. The Blue Sea Mecha Academy is so big, how can there not be 1 or 2 promising talents? Aolong had no more hesitation. If I go, what benefits will you give me? Aolong's words almost stumped Tang Gang. Tang Fan passed by them and heard what Aolong said. In view of Tang Gang's many dark histories of cheating his children, Tang Fan had no time to think about escaping from here, and hurriedly asked, "My father, what benefits have you promised to others?" Tang Gang laughed and pulled Aolong to introduce Tang Fan. Aolong Ilyich, you can also call him Aolong, an 8th level starship forger. Then, he pulled Tang Fan over and introduced, "This is my daughter, Tang Fan." Tang Fan rolled his eyes. "You introduced her before, and forced her to give a gift when meeting her." Looking at Tang Fan's expression of "you must have amnesia" and Tang Gang's aggrieved look, Aolong laughed mercilessly, holding his stomach. "Finally someone can cure you." Ho ha. Tang Gang took a deep breath and kept telling himself that he had to ask for help from others, and only then did he resist the urge to kick Aolong. "We are all family, so I will skip the polite words and get straight to business. Honey, you want to learn starship forging technology. It just so happens that Oren wants to set up a starship foundry. You two can learn from each other and strive to realize your dreams as soon as possible. Chapter 132. What a coincidence. When Tang Fan heard this, he couldn't help but frown and looked at Aolong. Do you have land? A planet? Aolong shook his head. Do you have credit points? 30 million, is that enough? Tang Fan just wanted to laugh. Do you have a factory? Do you have the qualifications? Do you have people on hand? Shaking his head again. An 8th level Starship Foundry engineer, with 30 million credit points, is like building a factory. Tang Fan's forehead was full of black lines. If you take a big step, you'll easily talk nonsense. This was too direct. Tang Gang spit out a mouthful of salty soda. Tang Fan, who taught you to say this? Tang Fan looked at her father with disdain. Isn't it just you, old man? Tang Gang felt terrible and said earnestly, girls, pay a little attention to your image, okay? Tang Fan shrugged indifferently. If you hadn't mentioned it, I would have forgotten that I'm a girl. After all, our Blue Sea Mecha Academy has always treated girls as boys. Boys as star beasts? It doesn't exist. This statement always felt weird. Tang Gang shook his head, quickly shook off the idea, and brought the topic back. Starships will be on the agenda sooner or later, and you will have to learn it sooner or later. It's better to arrange it as soon as possible when you are all free. Although I don't know how much truth and falsehood there is in Tang Gang's words, there is nothing wrong with what he said. I can definitely use the experience of starship casting, but it is not certain whether Aolong can use it for his own company. Anyway, it is a matter of 100% benefit and no harm, so there is no reason for Tang Fan to refuse. As for whether there are other twists and turns in it, Tang Fan can only take it one step at a time. Anyway, her father will not harm her. Of course, in order to avoid falling into Tang Gang's trap, Tang Fan thinks that it is safer to learn the knowledge as soon as possible. Tang Fan glanced at Aolong, who was still unable to extricate himself from the blow, and nodded, okay. Seeing that Tang Fan agreed, Tang Gang's face immediately showed a hint of smile. He patted Aolong's shoulder and said with a smile, that girl is a bit prepared for a rainy day. However, we are not completely helpless. Learn from that girl, find a qualified starship foundry, and dig it up, isn't it? She is a little girl who can do it. Don't tell me that you can't do it. Being provoked by Tang Gang, Aolong really fell for it. Without mentioning any benefits, she packed her luggage and followed Tang Fan to the Blue Sea Mecha Academy. Tang Fan watched her father fool people, and she became deeply suspicious of the origin of Aolong, an 8th level starship foundry engineer. However, after she had more contact with Aolong, she gradually understood. Aolong was not stupid, but he was too focused on starship casting. He was too simple and easy to fool. In terms of casting, Aolong's knowledge reserve even exceeded Henry's, and he was a well-deserved living dictionary of casting. Whether it was mecha or starship, the knowledge used was more or less the same. Tang Fan was a smart person, and she could learn from one thing and apply it to other situations. With Aolong's guidance, she didn't grow too fast. She even combined some things in starship casting with mecha casting, and designed and manufactured a series of purple-level mechas. Because of the combination of starship casting elements, the shape of this series of mechas was a bit strange, and Tang Fan named it Monster Mecha. On the day of release, Zhang's Mecha just happened to launch a new black-level mecha. That scene was extremely embarrassing. What was even more embarrassing was that the number of people watching the Zhang Mecha new film conference was far less than the number of people in Tang Fan's live broadcast room. After all, there were few people who could drive black-level mechas, and many who could use purple-level mechas. What's more, Tang Mecha's purple-level peak mechas were cheap. The price of 8 mechas in a series added up to the price of 1 black-level mecha of Zhang Mecha. There was even a 7th-level mecha pilot with the ID of Lao Meng next door, who publicly stated on the Star Network, if you can't afford a black-level mecha, you can only choose the purple-level peak mecha of Tang Mecha. This sentence was extremely lethal. The damage to Willie Smith was no less than the hematite ore that was stolen from the starship when the hematite star encountered the Black Skull Star pirates. If it weren't for that robbery, the hematite ore would be in place, and the price of the black-level mecha would be reduced. Although, in his opinion, 3.6 million credit points were actually not expensive at all. But he absolutely didn't dare to say such words, because he was afraid of being drowned by spit. After all, only 20% of the elite can come up with 3.6 million. In the Alliance, there are many people who can't make enough money to repair the black-level mecha in a year. But Willie Smith understands this truth, but it doesn't mean that everyone understands this truth. Under the complaint of the neighboring old Meng, who was so poor that he only wanted to buy a Tang's mecha, there were many radical remarks. What if you are poor? Don't learn mecha driving. What if the black level mecha is not prepared for poor people like you? What if you can't even come up with 3.6 million? Don't pretend to be a level 7 mecha pilot. In short, with a full sense of superiority, he said whatever he wanted. If it were an ordinary person, he would have died of shame long ago. But this neighboring old Meng is not an ordinary person. This guy is not only a level 7 mecha pilot, but also the principal of Welangsing Technical College. He is a particularly serious person. Not only did he show his level 7 mecha pilot assessment certificate with the Alliance Professional Certification Center's seal, he also recorded the IDs on the Star Network that sent ridicule one by one, exposing their identities and slapping their faces one by one. Moreover, he recorded the entire incident and took screenshots. Experts are among the people. A simple video was actually seen through by a god, who made a long video to fully analyze this bunch of IDs. They are all a group of rich and powerful second generations, and they have one thing in common: they are all new interns at Zhang's Mecha. This time, the alliance exploded. What the world lacks most is people who hate the rich. Of course, there is no shortage of keyboard warriors. The Star Network accounts of this group of second generations and the official website of Zhang's Mecha were all conquered by this group of people. The gentle ones posted various introductions to charity foundations, the rude ones sent various national curses. Zhang's has not yet come out of the last public relations crisis. And it has fallen into public relations crisis again. Even Willie Smith couldn't be calm at this time. The matter has become so serious that it is too late to keep it secret. Then the only way is to find the connection between the old Meng next door and Tang Fan, and put the blame on Tang's Mecha, and throw the dirty water on Tang Fan. But Willie Smith checked the past and present lives of the old Meng next door, and did not find any clues. That Principal Meng and Tang Fan don't even know each other. They are completely two parallel lines, without any intersection. How can two people who are in the south and the north, with no intersection, be forced together? Willie Smith was desperate. Chapter 133 Inspection. Willie, who had nowhere to go, could only push his interns out to get himself out of trouble. In the name of Zhang's Mecha, an announcement was issued to expel the people involved and apologize to the public. As soon as the announcement was made, the alliance was in an uproar. Public opinion was divided into two camps. One camp believed that it was a great virtue to admit one's mistakes and correct them. People have admitted their mistakes, so there is no need to hold on to them. The other camp believed that this group of interns was obviously the scapegoats pushed out by Zhang's Mecha to whitewash itself, just like the last explosion case. Of course, the number of people in the latter camp far exceeded the number of fools in the former camp. Tang Fan even suspected that the small group of people in the front were actually the water army hired by Willie Smith himself to build momentum for himself. It's just that she had no evidence. Tang Fan rolled her eyes and told the second generation, who were thrown out by Willie Smith, to take the blame. The second generation, who were deeply offended by Willie Smith, immediately took action and launched their group ridicule skills. It is definitely the most tragic thing to turn from a fan to a hater. After all, they have been fans before, and they know your details and your weaknesses. These second generations are not good people to begin with, and their words when they are angry are even more excessive. The official website of Zhang's Mecha is so wonderful. Zhao Fan and Brad were happy to watch the jokes for several days. Brad even took a screenshot and made a classic quote. The plan of Zhang's Mecha to rely on black-level mechas has basically declared bankruptcy. Not only that, the plan to rely on the second generation to build a good relationship with their fathers has also been completely shattered. There are only two ways for Willie Smith to go. First, turn around and do the same thing as Tang's Mecha, and develop standard mechas and purple-level mechas. Second, spend more manpower, material resources and financial resources to solve the century-old problem of red-level mechas. Willie Smith wanted to grab both hands, but unfortunately, Zhang's Mecha was no longer what it used to be, and could not afford such expensive research and development costs. In the case of no hope of a breakthrough in the red-level mecha in a short time, Willie Smith could only choose to chew the gum that Tang's Mecha had chewed, and turn to researching standard mecha and purple-level mecha. When it comes to high-tech, half-baked Tang Fan still feels a little bit timid. But when it comes to standard mecha and purple-level mecha, Tang Fan has never been afraid. As a money-saving expert, How to use the least money to improve the mecha to the best has been a topic that Tang Fan has been studying tirelessly since she came into contact with mecha. Now, she still has the material secrets given by the old predecessor of the Zhang family, so she is even less afraid. If she can't destroy Zhang's mecha, she will have to lead him by the nose. Tang Fan felt that he could sit firmly on the throne of the mecha casting giant. When he heard that Willie Smith began to rectify Zhang's mecha and streamline the staff, Tang Fan was even more relieved. Tang Fan, who was resting on his laurels, plunged into the ocean of knowledge about starship casting. Under the guidance of Oren, he was having a great time. However, after 2 months of studying with Oren, Tang Fan's knowledge of starship casting was basically comparable to that of professional students of the same class. Just when Tang Fan was obsessed with learning and couldn't extricate herself, William sent her a video request. This was the first time William sent her a video request since the establishment of Tang's mecha. Tang Fan frowned and answered it immediately. As soon as the video was connected, William couldn't wait to say, "Afan, it's not good." The higher-ups suddenly decided to conduct surprise inspections on mecha casting companies. Tang Fan's heart skipped a beat when he heard this. It turned out that Willie Smith had been silently rectifying Zhang's mecha for 2 months, and he was waiting for him here. All the employees of Tang's mecha came from only 2 sources, one was the Expeditionary Force, and the other was the Blue Sea Mecha Academy. Except for Tang Fan, their backgrounds were all proven. Tang's mecha's qualifications can also stand the test. Tang Fan is not afraid. The only problem is the red gold mine in hand. Tang Fan pursed his lips. Have all the design drawings, raw materials, patent applications and experimental data notarization been handled properly? William frowned. Everything else is almost done, except the red gold mine. The company submitted applications to all 35-star regions of the Alliance, half of which were rejected, and the other half were accepted, but it has been so long, and there is no follow-up. William's face clearly read, "What can I do? I am also desperate." Tang Fan also knew that Willie had such a big fanfare, how could he not have a backup plan? Asking William to submit the materials was just a routine matter. No progress was also expected. William's face wrinkled, but Tang Fan was not anxious at all. However, there was no need to talk about this matter. How could he be willing to break the trap of Mr. Explanation so early? Inevitably, he would set up another trap to trap her. I'll find a way to deal with this. Are there any other problems? William thought for a moment. The production line of the red gold mine. Tang Fan pursed his lips. Negotiate with the 7th Legion first and move the production line to planet R15. No. Dismantle it immediately and let Mr. Henry take it back to the Blue Sea Mecha Academy. In addition, notify my father and ask him to find a way to cover up the fact that there is a mine on R15. William took a deep breath. He is an adult who has been in society for so many years, but he is not as clear as a little girl. Willie Smith can check the mecha manufacturing industry, but he can't check the Expeditionary Force? William nodded. I'll do it right away. However, isn't it inappropriate to let Mr. Henry take the things back to Blue Sea Star? Tang Fan sneered. They don't have the power to check other people's space buckles, especially the space buckles of the 7th level Mecha Foundry Masters. William put his heart back in his stomach. Just as he turned around and was about to leave, he was stopped by Tang Fan. The black level Mecha hasn't been shipped yet. Postponed for the time being. Play a full set of tricks. Otherwise, you can't fool Willie Smith. William had just informed Tang Gang and sent Henry away when the news came that the inspection team was about to land on Bezel. William asked people to receive them quickly while rushing to Bezel. The reason why the inspection team rushed over was that they wanted to find faults with Tang's mecha while Tang Fan and William were away. Before William arrived at Bezel, the inspection team composed of doves had already rushed into the headquarters of Tang's mecha. Although everyone knew that this group of people not only came to find faults, but also found faults with a magnifying glass. But now that people are here, can they be driven back? If there's any minor inappropriateness in Tang's mecha, it will be magnified infinitely. William took a deep breath, asked people to take the inspection team around the headquarters one by one, and asked the starship pilot to speed up. Chapter 134 R25. Even though William endured the nausea and used short-distance teleportation, he finally rushed to the headquarters, but the inspection team had already searched the factory thoroughly. Seeing the dusty William, the temporary person in charge, and the veteran of the Expeditionary Army, Tang Fan curled his lips and made a safe gesture to William in front of the inspection team. This disguised demonstration almost made the inspection team's nose crooked. Yes. The inspection team checked every corner, from the qualifications of the workers to the factory, from the design of the standard mecha and the purple level mecha to the manufacturing and production process, from beginning to end, but unfortunately, they didn't find any clues. The quality of the Expeditionary Army and the quality of the Blue Sea Mecha Academy have been concretely reflected. The inspection team had a feeling of being bitten by a tortoise and not knowing where to start. Since Tang's mecha had blatantly provoked, the inspection team did not hide it and directly contacted Willie Smith to let him make the decision. Willie Smith seemed to have expected this, and said calmly, "It's not like Tang's mecha has only one factory. Haven't you seen their black level mecha yet?" Hearing Willie Smith's words, the inspection team was excited. They immediately asked to inspect the factory on planet R25. Upon hearing this, William felt overwhelmed. The headquarters on Basil Planet was completely standardized without any omissions. But on the other side of the savage galaxy R25, William was not so confident. If he had known that this group of people would shift their attention there so quickly, why would he have traveled so far and hurried back? It would be better to stay on planet R25, hide the little tails, and wait for them to come. The most terrible thing is that in such a short time, it is unknown whether Tang Fan has settled the matter of the red gold mine. As an indispensable material for black-level mechas, the amount of red gold ore used is not large, but its role is not small. If this matter is not done, the brand and reputation that Tang's mecha has built with great difficulty will be destroyed. William was worried, but Tang Fan said calmly that he would let the inspection team come over. Tang's mecha is a formal company and couldn't withstand any form of inspection. Tang Fan dared to say this, but William was a little afraid to listen. But the inspection team pointed at the savage galaxy without hesitation, and Tang Fan agreed. What can William do? He can only lead this group of ancestors to the savage galaxy in fear. When he stood at the door of the savage galaxy factory and saw the smiling Tang Gang, William was relieved. "Why are you here?" Tang Gang raised his mouth. "The head of the 7th Legion is on vacation, and I will take over for a while. Before taking office, I came to see you specially." Tang Gang didn't say the rest, and William didn't ask sensibly. Zhang Yan'an, the head of the inspection team, suddenly looked ugly. As a branch of the Zhang family, others might not recognize the man in front of them, but he would never forget him. "Who is this?" William glanced at Tang Gang, not knowing how to start. Tang Gang looked at Zhang Yan'an's somewhat familiar face, and a complex emotion flashed in his eyes. Tang Fan's father, the head of the 9th Corps of the Expeditionary Force. Tang Chen, Tang Fan's father, the head of the 9th Corps of the Expeditionary Force. Tang Chen? I believe you. A light flashed on Zhang Yan'an's optical brain, and the image of the man in front of him came to Willie Smith at the fastest speed. Looking at the familiar yet unfamiliar face, Willie Smith knew that it would be difficult for him to accomplish the task. Sure enough, from Zhang Yan'an's optical brain video, Willie Smith saw a barren planet. On the planet covered with sand and stones, there were more than a dozen lonely factory buildings. But there were only so many factory buildings, and most of them were locked. There must be something fishy. The inspection team was excited and wanted to do a big job. But when Tang Gang really opened the doors one by one, everyone was stunned. Those locked factories were so empty that there was not even a speck of dust, let alone any clues. Everyone could see that Tang's metro was unreasonably clean, but when there was nothing wrong with it. This was embarrassing. Tang Gang stood there with his hands behind his back, smiling and asking, "Where else do you want to check, sir?" The inspection team looked at each other, followed Tang Gang reluctantly, and walked towards the two factories that were in operation. The factories produced parts that were easy to damage for standard mechas. Each workbench produced a part, and when the number was enough, it was tossed to the next planet R15, and Quinn waited for the expeditionary force to return with supplies and take it back. The patents for those simple parts were rampant hundreds of years ago. Not to mention the inspection team, even if Willie Smith came in person, he couldn't find any tricks. Zhang Yan'an looked at the empty factory and asked unwillingly, "Why didn't I see your company's black-level mecha? Could it be that Tang's black-level mecha only exists in the live broadcast room?" William's face immediately sank, but before he could speak, he was stopped by Tang Gang. "There are too many patented technologies for black-level mechas. As law-abiding citizens, we dare not privately build mechas before they are fully approved. However, there are only 4 prototypes of Tang's mechas, So it's not a violation, right? Zhang Yunan's expression was very ugly at the moment. Just like Tang Yang said, if Tang's only built 4 mechas, even if there was no patent, he couldn't do anything to Tang's mechas. But how could he be willing if he didn't take a look? Zhang Yunan stared at Tang Yang and sneered, Captain Tang means that Tang's company currently does not have a single black level mecha. Tang Yang shook his head, my daughter is underage and timid. She always thinks that black level mechas are very valuable. She is afraid that something unexpected will happen, so she must keep them under my nose. Now, the prototype is in the warehouse. Do you want to take a look? Tang Fan is timid. This is probably the funniest joke this year. But at this moment, no one can laugh. Everyone stared at Tang Yang and let him lead them step by step to the locked warehouse. As the 2 alloy doors slowly opened, the shiny black level mechas were revealed little by little, no more, no less. 4. The inspection team was not mediocre. They could see at a glance that this series of 4 mechas were all the batch of black level top mechas that appeared in the live broadcast room and were handmade by Tang Fan. They always thought that the biggest handle and loophole of Tang's mechas was this batch of mechas. But now that Tang Yang put them out like this, they began to doubt. For a moment, all the officials in the inspection team looked at each other, and none of them dared to take that step forward. Tang Yang's eyes flashed with contempt. With such cowardice, he dared to come to Tang's to make trouble. Zhang's family, it's really a case of exchanging cloth bags for sacks, and each generation is worse than the previous one. Chapter 135, Pit. When everyone was deadlocked, only Zhang Yunan stood up. He took out a detector, pointed it at the mecha, and scanned it from beginning to end. The green lights flashed all the way, indicating that this series of mechas were safe and harmless, and the performance met the standards. In other words, if the problem mentioned by Tang Yang was not taken into account, this batch of black level mechas of Tang's mecha could have been put into production long ago. So, here comes the question. Which patented technology of the black level mecha that Tang Yang said was not available? Before Zhang Yinan could come up with an answer, his optical brain began to flash. He took a look behind Tang Yang and William, and there were 2 big words written on it, materials. Materials? Zhang Yinan narrowed his eyes. No wonder the handheld instrument couldn't find it out. It turned out that the materials had not obtained patents. In this case, he had something to say. Zhang Yinan turned to William and Tang Yang to ask for the list of materials for this series of mechas. William and Tang Yang looked at each other, spread their hands, and said no. It's not that the 2 of them were trying to evade the truth. The truth is that they were neither involved in the design nor in the casting, so they really didn't have a list of materials. But they were telling the truth, but no one believed them. Zhang Yinan felt that he had found evidence, and he couldn't wait to go back and edit it. He submitted this video as evidence and posted it online. It was only 2 hours after he uploaded the video, and Willie Smith hurriedly sent him a video message, asking him to cancel it. Seeing Zhang Yunan's confused look, Willie Smith took a deep breath and threw him a live broadcast room address. Take a look for yourself. Zhang Yinan clicked on the link without knowing what was going on, and the face of the famous female anchor Miss Tang Fan came into his sight. On the big screen behind Miss Tang, there was a list with countless layers of mosaics, which looked like the list of materials he had asked Tang Yang and William for. Zhang Yinan thought to himself, oh no. I've been fooled, the female anchor said. As a student, the most important task is to study. Everyone knows the school rules of the Blue Sea Mecha Academy. The inspection team suddenly attacked. I was not there, and neither was the mecha designer. It is too arbitrary to convict Tang's mecha just because the list of materials was not provided. Zhang Lankai Tang Ziafan's name was too famous, and everyone thought he was joking. Who knew that Tang Fan actually admitted openly that he was not the designer of this batch of mechas? This caused an uproar in the live broadcast room. For a time, the barrage was full of comments. Fortunately, Tang Fan made the mecha casting bit by bit in front of 100,000 online viewers. While the design ability was questioned, the casting ability was still affirmed. Tang Fan pointed to the list of materials behind him, where the amount was mosaic countless times, and said calmly, if the Alliance needs it, we at Tang can provide a list of materials for all types of mechas in existence. Zhang Yinan looked at the list of materials fiercely. At the end of the list, he saw the words red gold. His expression changed and a sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth. With a slight movement of his fingertips, a line of words appeared on the barrage. What is red gold? Tang Fan looked at the 5 words and sneered. Someone asked about red gold, so I will briefly explain it. This is a special casting material discovered by Zhao Pu, a 9th level mecha foundry. It was inherited by Mr. Zhao Jiang, the only heir of Zhao's mecha, and authorized Tang's mecha to use it. Tang Fan projected the copy of the material patent certificate in his hand, Zhao Pu's will, the material patent transfer procedures, and the patent authorization letter with Zhao Jiang's name on it onto the big screen behind him. The first 2 items were stamped with a seal of the Capital Star Administrative Center, which was not conspicuous. But the last 2 items, the bright red seal of the Blue Sea Star Region Administrative Center, and the date a month ago, all irritated Zhang Yunan's nerves. This smiling female anchor in front of him dug such a shallow pit for him, but he jumped into it without hesitation. His Star Network account was a real name system, and the messages he sent were all evidence in court and could be used to testify. It had been 2 hours since the message was posted on Star Network. Those who should have taken screenshots had taken screenshots, and those who should have kept evidence had kept evidence. Zhang Yunan regretted it so much that he wanted to slap himself in the face 2 hours ago. However, would the Zhang family admit defeat? Absolutely not. Even if he was suspended for investigation, Zhang Yunan would never let go, and would never admit his mistakes at work, let alone apologize to Tang Fan. Zhang Yunan's unpaid leave did not affect Willie Smith's plan to continue investigating Tang's mecha. Although Zhang Yunan was defeated, he understood where Tang Fan's confidence came from. Zhao Pu, who had died for so many years, and the Zhao family mecha that had long ceased to exist, did not expect that she could still use it. Zhao Jiang, right. He remembered it. In addition, Tang Fan dared to use the ore that had never been heard of in the entire alliance to make a black-level mecha, which meant that Tang Fan had enough red gold ore. Tang Fan only went to a few places throughout the year. Where is this ore? Blue Sea Star Region? Savage Star Region? Willie Smith only mentioned it once, and many people imagined it. Almost at the same time, the military and the Education Bureau took action and launched an unpredictable investigation. Although the focus was on the Blue Sea Mecha Academy and the Savage Star Region, no other schools or military regions were spared. Such a large-scale operation naturally did not have enough manpower. Therefore, Tang Fan was not too surprised to see Willie Smith, a member of the development committee, at the Blue Sea Mecha Academy. A height of 1.97 meters is not outstanding in the interstellar era, where the average height is 2 meters. But his handsome face, slender legs, model-like figure, friendly smile, and gentle and elegant temperament are enough to make him stand out among a group of officials who are full of greed. However, when his eyes were cast on Tang Fan, the smile on his face immediately faded a little, and there was a more scrutinizing meaning in his eyes. The girl in front of him, who was 70% similar to him, with short and neat hair, and beautiful as any popular star, was the legendary Tang Fan. He walked over quickly and blocked the girl's way. Under Tang Fan's inquiring eyes, Willie Smith patted Tang Fan's shoulder kindly and asked with a smile, "Little classmate. Do you know Tang Fan from the Mecha Casting Department?" Faced with Willie Smith's knowing question, Tang Fan also planned to put on an act, pretending to be something important. Tang Fan raised his head and glanced at his biological father, then said calmly, "I am. What can I do for you?" Obviously, both of them spoke quietly and in a normal tone, but somehow, everyone could hear a sense of tension. Looking at the two similar faces, many people whispered to each other. From their expressions, one could see a hint of ambiguity and gossip. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 136 Confrontation. Willie Smith seemed to be used to this kind of gaze. Tang Fan also looked at Willie calmly, as if he was simply waiting for an answer. His calmness and composure were very much like Willie Smith. Even more like Olivia. This was something Willie Smith had not expected. And he did not want to admit it. Student Tang is so young, yet he has become the head of Tang's mecha. I have admired him for a long time. It is not easy to come to the Blue Ocean Mecha Academy, so naturally I want to get to know him. However, if Willie did not emphasize the word get to know, it might be more convincing. However, everyone's attention was not on the latter half of the sentence. They were all shocked by the first half. If Willie had not said it, no one would believe that the girl in front of them, who looked a bit like Willie Smith, was actually the head of Tang's Mecha. After all, no one had ever thought that the head of Tang's Mecha would be so young. Looking at her appearance, she might not even be an adult yet. Everyone's eyes changed. Facing the discussions around him, Tang Fan turned a deaf ear and ignored them. As for the hidden meaning of Willie Smith's words, Tang Fan pretended not to understand, and bowed his head humbly. Tang is just standing on the shoulders of my predecessors, and I don't deserve Mr. Smith's praise. Mr. Smith, who started from scratch and became one of the few political stars in the alliance, is my role model. His attitude was 100%, but the meaning behind his words made people dare not look directly at him. How can there be so many people who started from scratch in the world? The reason why Willie Smith was able to gain a foothold in the political arena was just because of his wife's family. In other words, Willie Smith is a Phoenix man who made a fortune by relying on his wife. Although this matter is a secret known to everyone, it is also a thorn in Willie Smith's heart. Now that it is brought up in public, it is like rubbing salt into Willie Smith's wounds. This little girl is really cruel. Some young people in the crowd couldn't help but gasp. But more people were enlightened. Although there are many entrepreneurs with the surname Tang, only a few of them are familiar to people. The only case related to Willie Smith is the sudden decline of Tang's Mecha. Today, is the inside story going to be revealed? Is it that Willie Smith is not in love with a Pippa, and Zhang Awei is the mistress, or is it that the Tang family broke up the couple and Willie Smith worked hard to become stronger? Is it a romantic drama of two women fighting for one man, or an inspirational drama of a poor loser's counterattack? Some people even began to reasonably suspect that Tang Fan is the child of the youngest daughter of the Tang family and Willie Smith, and began to inquire about Tang Fan's age. After all, Tang Fan and Olivia Smith's age is very telling. It's a pity that Tang Fan's file has too many blanks and loopholes. Everyone checked for a long time, but faced with Tang Fan's birthday, they didn't know whether to believe it. Seeing the biggest melon of the year right in front of us, but not being able to eat it, it's really heartbreaking. The noises around him were getting louder and louder. Willie Smith's expression rarely cracked, and his voice became a little colder. It's not good for a little girl to be full of thorns. It's not pleasing to others. Tang Fan smiled and folded his hands. Thank you for the reminder, Mr. Smith. Looking at the 100,000 online viewers in the live broadcast room and the endless messages on the Star Network, I still feel good about myself. So, I'm not pleasing to others. The little girl's voice was not loud, but it was like a heavy slap in the face, hitting Willie Smith's face hard, making a snapping sound. The press conference of the two companies seemed to be just yesterday. At that time, Tang Fan's live broadcast room was very lively, and Zhang's Mecha press conference was deserted. People discussed it for a long time. After the heat finally subsided, Tang Fan brought it up again. Willie Smith's expression management was seriously out of control, and his expression revealed a bit of ruthlessness. The feelings on the internet come and go quickly, so don't take it too seriously. Tang Fan glanced at him and nodded seriously. It's really hard to predict feelings. There are many people who were in love yesterday, but no longer love each other today. I will definitely take Mr. Smith's advice as a person with experience to heart. Don't take feelings too seriously. This remark not only touched him, but also had a lot of connotation. Willie Smith felt that he was stabbed again, with 3 knives and 6 holes on his body, and blood dripping everywhere. Just when the two sides were deadlocked, Tang Fan's optical brain suddenly rang. Looking at the flashing words Lan Yuan on it, Tang Fan couldn't help but pull down the corners of his mouth, and reluctantly connected the video. When Tang Fan saw the starship cockpit behind Lan Yuan, the arc of his mouth pulled down again. You are not in Blue Sea Star. Lan Yuan was furious when he heard this. These bastards are really bad. Because when we were checking the Tang's Mecha, the news leaked out. So, there was no news at all during this big investigation. The military and the Education Bureau issued a meeting notice, and they sent people over. I didn't get the news until after that inexplicable meeting. I was so angry that I flipped the table. You wait. I'll be back soon. If there's anything, I will support you. Lan Yuan's words were sincere. Tang Fan felt warm in his heart. Tang Fan glanced at Willie Smith, took a deep breath, and said slowly, take your time, safety first. Anyway, I have already met with Mr. Smith. After that, he pointed the light brain at Willie Smith and turned 360 degrees. No matter how well-mannered Willie Smith was, he couldn't help but frown at this moment. Looking at Willie's livid face, Lan Yuan held back a laugh and joked, School is fine. Our school is poor and can't afford any trouble. If you really can't help but want to fight, choose the seaside, where the impact is small. If it can't be dragged that far, go to the cafeteria. You know our school cafeteria. The cafeteria of the Blue Sea Mecha Academy is known to everyone in the school, including the seniors who have graduated long ago. For hundreds of years, it has always maintained the consistent qualities since the establishment of the school. When Tang Fan thought that this group of people would soon face the school cafeteria, her waist was no longer sore, her legs were no longer painful, and the corners of her mouth were no longer drooping. She could even sincerely suggest to the other members of the inspection team, the most distinctive feature of our Blue Sea Mecha Academy is our cafeteria. It's almost time for dinner. Do you want to visit it? If you don't mind, I can be a guide for you. Tang Fan's attitude changed too quickly, and it was obvious that there was something fishy. The inspection team immediately began to look forward to the cafeteria of the Blue Sea Mecha Academy, but they were afraid of being hurt. Even though Principal Lan Yuan was rushing to Blue Ocean Star, he was no longer anxious after hearing what Tang Fan said. Tang Fan's suggestion was good. Why didn't he think of it? He would apply to the higher authorities to let the inspection team stay in Blue Ocean Mecha Academy for a few more days. Chapter 137 Canteen. Since Tang Fan strongly recommended the canteen of Blue Ocean Mecha Academy, the canteen must have its outstanding features. The inspection team followed Tang Fan to the canteen with doubts in their hearts. The more they walked, the more they felt something was wrong. They visited and inspected schools, not to mention tens of thousands, but at least hundreds of them. But they had never encountered a situation where the canteen became more and more deserted as they walked towards it. Could this classmate Tang Fan have some bad intentions? Many people have already started to open their optical computers, connect to the Star Network, and record videos for evidence. But in fact, what Tang Fan took them to was really the only canteen that has been passed down for hundreds of years in Blue Ocean Mecha Academy. Such a big school, but there is only a canteen of about 300 square meters. This is completely unimaginable in other schools, but it is extremely reasonable in Blue Ocean Mecha Academy. Because, in Blue Ocean Mecha Academy, the main job of the canteen aunt is to distribute nutritional supplements. Of course, she also cooks part-time. But whether the raw food is cooked or burnt depends entirely on luck. Today, the canteen provided 2 sets of meals. 70% cooked rice, served with shelled eggs fried with raw tomatoes, medium rare beef shreds with celery, and a portion of lettuce with an earthy smell. Burnt steak, served with medium rare pasta, salty mashed potatoes, and a soup whose ingredients were hard to tell. The food was placed there, and no one in the inspection team dared to take the plate. They thought that this was definitely a prank by the canteen aunt and Tang Fan. The people who felt that they had found a reason and a handle took photos and videos of the dark dishes on the table. But when they went to find reference objects, they found that it was not just them, but all the meals in the canteen that day were the same. There were also unwilling people who secretly looked for the nails they had buried in the Blue Sea Mecha Academy. Unexpectedly, they were told, the canteen of the Blue Sea Mecha Academy is at this level. When the inspection team realized that food is a scarce resource, they also learned another bad news. In the Blue Sea Mecha Academy, this scarce resource is in the hands of very few people. Moreover, the most outstanding one among them was Tang Fan, the student whom Willie Smith confronted as soon as he entered the school gate. This bad news crushed many people. Everyone's eyes were all on Willie Smith. Willie Smith turned a blind eye and ate the food on his plate elegantly and calmly, and did not forget to advise others, who knows that every grain of rice on the plate is hard-earned. This is really bullshit. Who are they working hard for? The inspection team rolled their eyes after eating such a torturous meal. Tang Fan saw that everyone was full, so he took them with a smile to find the head of the Blue Sea Mecha Academy, Director Fang Mian. Fang Mian, who received the letter, had been waiting in the finance department. Seeing Tang Fan coming over, he patted Tang Fan on the shoulder in front of the inspection team. Thank you for your hard work. Leave it to me next. Tang Fan nodded with a smile and floated away. After watching Tang Fan leave, Fang Mian smiled and welcomed the inspection team into the finance department. He asked people to bring in the accounts of the Blue Ocean Mecha Academy since its founding. Facing the mountain of accounts, the inspection team couldn't help but tremble. But the accounts are definitely the most important part of the school. Can they refuse? Of course not. So, the inspection team, including Willie Smith, spent the whole afternoon with the accounts. When it comes to accounting, Fang Mian has never been afraid of anyone. Not to mention the inspection team. Even if a professional audit team comes, they can't find any faults in the accounts that Fang Mian has done. The inspection team was dizzy from checking the accounts, and then they had to face the dark cuisine in the cafeteria. They complained bitterly. But do they have the right to choose? No. Not really. Who made them think they are superior to others? Wherever they go, people will line the streets to welcome them. There is not even a single nutrient in the space buckle. If you don't want to be hungry, you have to eat our cuisine. Seeing the inspection team, who are obviously here to find fault, being frustrated, Fang Mian felt secretly happy. Not only did he not show it on his face, he could even cry poor with a bitter face. Facing Fang Mian's superb acting skills, the expressions of the inspection team were so wonderful. They hadn't cried miserably yet, but they encountered the other party crying poor. What should they do? Waiting online, it's very urgent. But they really couldn't say no. After a whole day of work, the inspection team still didn't make any progress. Seeing that Principal Land was about to come back, the inspection team, except Willie Smith, was so nervous. Yes. Ever since he met Tang Fan by chance, Willie Smith has been unusually calm no matter he encountered dark food or complicated accounts. This was not the first time Fang Mian had dealt with Willie Smith. Seeing his performance, his heart skipped a beat. After sending the inspection team to the dormitory, Fang Mian immediately found Tang Fan. Willie Smith is not right today. What did he say to you? What did he do? Tell me first, and we'll discuss it. Tang Fan frowned and told Fang Mian everything he saw and heard today. Fang Mian's brows were tightly knitted, forming a character. I always feel something is wrong. How about we go to see old man Li Bangsha? Although Tang Fan didn't take it seriously, in order to reassure Fang Mian, she followed her to see old man Li Bangsha. The old man couldn't help shaking his head after hearing Fang Mian's explanation. Although he felt that Fang Mian was a little worried, he still gave Tang Fan a full body check. The test results came out quickly. Although Tang Fan was skinny, his body was as healthy as a calf, without any abnormality. Tang Fan took the test report and sent a copy to Tang Gang. The next second, Tang Gang's video came over. As soon as Tang Fan got through, Tang Gang's anxious voice came over. Why did you suddenly remember to do a physical examination? After hearing Tang Gang's words, Tang Fan wanted to slap himself twice. It's your dirty hands that got you into trouble. Knowing that there are many spies around him, Tang Fan could only helplessly tell him what happened today from beginning to end. Tang Gang listened quietly, his eyes fixed on Tang Fan's shoulders, without blinking. After Tang Fan finally finished speaking, Tang Gang finally spoke. Baby, did that scumbag pat your left shoulder? Fang Mian and Mr. Li Bangsha all looked at Tang Gang. Why do you say that? Tang Gang sneered. My daughter's hair on the left is shorter than the right. Moreover, the inclination of the hair end is different from other places, which is not natural. What kind of daughter control is this? Mr. Li Bangsha looked carefully at the end of Tang Fan's hair, but couldn't see anything. He couldn't help but shudder. Fang Mian and Tang Fan were thinking about another question. What did Willie Smith do with Tang Fan's hair? The answer is just around the corner. Chapter 138 Dad. Not only Fang Mian and Tang Fan had the answer, Tang Gang also had the answer. With a tacit look, everyone understood that the answer in their hearts was the same. Although, they did not like this answer. The fear of Willie has a long history. It comes from his parents who died young, and also from Tang Meng who was lying in the Red Moon Hospital. If it weren't for the fact that the Savage Galaxy was inseparable from others, if he hadn't remembered the discipline in the army, he would have rushed over long ago. Tang Gang said hurriedly, I'll come right after I finish my work here. Tang Fan pursed his lips. Someone from the Savage Galaxy should have come too. Don't just worry about me, take care of yourself too. Be careful and hide your little tail. Tang Gang glared at her. You don't have to worry about this. Just remember that I'm your father. If the sky falls, your father will support you. Don't hide anything, tell your father me as soon as possible. Tang Fan was good at grasping the key points and understood what Tang Gang meant at once. I remember. My last name is Tang, and my father's name is Tang Chen. I can't forget it. Old man Li Bangsha was still confused, but Fang Mian understood everything. He patted Tang Fan on the shoulder and said with a smile, don't worry, I'll help you keep an eye on her. Tang Gang's mouth curled up. Thank you for your help. Fang Mian smiled heartily. You are all children who grew up under my care. You are my family, so why are you being polite? The arc of Tang Yang's mouth rose a little, and a smile appeared in his eyes. That man is best at deceiving little girls. Please keep an eye on him for me. Don't let her be alone with that scumbag before I come over. Tang Fan rolled his eyes silently. Can you respect her as the owner of the optical brain? Tang Yang did not fail to see Tang Fan's rolling eyes, but he chose to turn a blind eye, quickly hung up the video call, and got busy. Tang Fan snorted coldly, put his hands behind his back, and went back to the dormitory. As for whether he really listened to Tang Yang's words, only God knows. It was late at night. The lights were still on in Willie's room, which Tang Yang was very afraid of. In the room, a small instrument was running, flashing a red light. Through the transparent box of the instrument, you can see two hairs of similar length floating in the medicine. Only Willie Smith, who put them in with his own hands, knew that the slightly longer one was his own hair. And the slightly shorter one was deliberately cut from Tang Fan's head. Because, only in this way, he would be assured of the test results. With the current technology, a piece of hair is enough for the sample required for paternity testing. Yes, Willie Smith doesn't believe in coincidences at all, he only believes in science. Anyway, paternity testing is not a difficult thing now. Willie Smith stared at the instrument while drinking tea. With a ding, the red light turned green, and a newly made inspection report was sent to Willie Smith's optical computer. At that moment, Willie Smith's breathing became heavy. After a long time, he put down the cup in his hand, and opened the report with trembling hands. Willie Smith couldn't understand the professional data in the front, and he didn't intend to study it in depth. He quickly crossed the long sentences and came to the last two lines, which he could read clearly. It was written on it, according to the results of DNA testing. The paternal sample to be tested cannot be ruled out as the biological father of the child sample to be tested. Based on the analysis of the results of 20 different gene loci, the possibility of this biological relationship is 99.99%. In other words, Willie Smith, has a 99.99% chance of being Tang Fan's biological father. Willie Smith read these two short lines over and over again. For a moment, he didn't know whether to cry or laugh. The little girl named Tang Fan was actually his child, his and Mang Mang's child. What a happy thing. But as long as he thought about that time, Tang Mang was controlled by Anna, and he didn't do anything at all, but became a cheap father. Willie Smith's joy disappeared. What did Anna, his good sister, do behind his back? In order to make Tang Mang give birth to a child with blood relationship with her, Anna must have taken advantage of him and Zhang Awei's unconsciousness to extract the thing. Just thinking about it, Willie's gentle and elegant mask directly cracked into 8 petals. Thinking about the things he did under the effect of the potion, it is very likely that he was under the monitoring of Anna Smith, and Willie's face turned black as the bottom of a pot. He quickly drank a potion to calm down. Before the potion took effect, he took out a knife and a piece of sandalwood from his space buckle and started to cut it little by little. When the sandalwood block turned into a round ball, the effect of the potion slowly evaporated. Willie put the knife and the sandalwood ball into the space buckle, patted the sawdust on his body, and stood up. Although he didn't know the purpose of Anna's creation of Tang Fan, having the daughter of the head of the Tang Metro was obviously beneficial to him, especially now. Willie Smith turned on the optical computer, manually input a string of optical computer numbers, and issued the first command. He came to the Blue Sea Mecha Academy, Tang Fan's optical computer number. This is not a secret. After all, no one who took the entrance examination with Tang Fan did not know his optical computer number. Willie Smith soon got what he wanted. His fingers quickly input Tang Fan's optical computer number and saved it. Willie sent the paternity test report to Tang Fan without hesitation. Then, he secretly waited for Tang Fan's response. But Willie waited until dawn, but nothing happened. He once suspected that the optical computer number was wrong, or that there was a problem with the network of the Blue Sea Mecha Academy. But in fact, the message was really sent to Tang Fan. However, Tang Fan didn't take it seriously at all. He just glanced at it and fell asleep. After dawn, he remembered this matter and sent it to Tang Yang. Her father was very stingy. If she concealed it and was discovered by him, the consequences. Tang Fan didn't dare to imagine it at all. It is said that it is better to die than to die. What's more, she and Willie are not even fellow Taoists. If she doesn't cheat him, who else can she cheat? Tang Fan calmed down and went to class happily. After all, the first priority of students is to study. As for what Willie and Tang Yang think, she can't care. In class, Henry spoke enthusiastically, and Tang Fan listened with relish. And Willie Smith, with dark circles under his eyes, was waiting at the door anxiously. Seeing that the get-out of class was about to end, Lan Yuan stood up, smiled and took Willie Smith's arm, and said with a smile, "Because of some official business, I was unable to welcome everyone from the inspection team. Today I will host this welcome banquet for you." When Willie Smith heard this, he almost vomited blood. "I'm busy recognizing my daughter. Who the hell wants to eat your welcome banquet?" Chapter 139 Here I come. But Lan Yuan seemed to not understand his expression, and pulled Willie Smith towards the cafeteria. Before Willie Smith could speak, Tang Fan had already stepped on the flying board and rowed her way towards the dormitory. Tang Fan had no classes in the afternoon, and he had no plans for the following weekend. Willie Smith's plan to block him was officially declared bankrupt. Just when Willie Smith was about to regroup and intercept Tang Fan again, a small starship stopped steadily at the port of Blue Star. A young man wearing an expeditionary uniform and full of vigor slowly walked to the ground. Looking at the familiar yet unfamiliar school in front of him, Tang Gang, or Tang Chen, took a deep breath and then walked in. After a few steps, he faced another tall man head-on. Go Xiaogu looked at the face in front of him that could be recognized even if it turned into ashes, and the mini starship not far away, as if he had seen a ghost. "You're still alive." Tang Gang couldn't help but twitch his mouth when he heard this. He wanted to fight back, but thinking that the other party might become his cousin, he swallowed the words that were on the tip of his tongue. He paused and bowed to Go Xiaogu. "My name is Tang Chen. May I ask what is the name of this gentleman?" Go Xiaogu looked at the man who called himself Tang Chen in the uniform of the Expeditionary Army, closed his mouth silently, and narrowed his eyes. After studying Tang Gang for a long time, especially the military rank that was the same as Song Si, Go Xiaogu finally came to his senses. At Tang Gang's age, if he wants to become a colonel, he must have some military merits. Song Si eliminated the Star Pirates. What about Tang Gang? What did this guy do to gain military merits during those days when he left without saying goodbye? To the point that he couldn't use his real name, but had to use a stage name? Go Xiaogu had countless thoughts in his mind, but there was only one conclusion: no matter what excuses and reasons he had at the beginning, this guy really hurt their Jingshu. For this reason, he couldn't let this guy step into the Blue Sea Mecha Academy. "I am Go Xiaogu, the director of the teaching department of the Blue Ocean Mecha Academy. No unit or individual may enter the school without the school's permission." "Mr. Tang Chen, please stop." Tang Gang's long legs stepped forward and stopped in midair. "Director Gao, I have something important to do." "It's not good for you to do this." Go Xiaogu raised his eyebrows. "What's the important thing? Tell me about it." Tang Gang was speechless. Can he say that his important thing is that someone tried to snatch his daughter from him? Can he? If he dared to say it, Go Xiaogu would dare to slap him twice. Although Go Xiaogu is the director of teaching of the Mecha driving department of the Blue Ocean Mecha Academy, Tang Gang may not be without the ability to fight. But as long as he thinks about the two faces of Tang Fan and Zhao Jingshu, Tang Gang feels that everything can be discussed. Moreover, even if he and Go Xiaogu can't reach any results, he still has reinforcements. Tang Gang silently put his hands behind his back, turned on the light brain, and moved his fingers slightly. A quick message was sent to the light brains of two people. It was not Tang Fan, but Zhao Jingshu and Lan Yuan. The message was very simple, with only 3 words: "I'm here." Lan Yuan had not responded to Tang Gang's message. But Zhao Jingshu was already impatient to rush to the port. Seeing that Go Xiaogu was making things difficult for others, or for his sweetheart, Zhao Jingshu could not sit still. "Cousin, what are you doing?" The little girl's voice was a little angry, which scared Go Xiaogu. "Shushu, you actually got angry with me for an outsider." The 2-meter-tall man actually felt wronged because of Zhao Jingshu's words. Although Tang Gang had known Go Xiaogu's virtue for a long time, he still felt a little pain in his eyes when he saw him suddenly after not seeing him for many years. Zhao Jingshu was stared at by Go Xiaogu's resentful eyes, and a sense of powerlessness arose spontaneously. As a sister who is obsessed with her sister, she is under a lot of pressure, okay? Zhao Jingshu gritted her teeth and stamped her feet. "Brother, please don't be like this, okay?" Go Xiaogu felt even more aggrieved. Seeing that Zhao Jingshu couldn't handle the man in front of her who was aloof in front of others and stupid in front of her sister, Tang Gang rubbed his temple helplessly, and in front of the funny brother and sister, he contacted Lan Yuan. "Principal Lan, please give me a pass." Lan Yuan looked at the scenery behind Tang Gang and raised his eyebrows. I thought you were kidding me. Just because Willie Smith is also in the inspection team, you ran over here. Tang Gang shook his head. It's not just because of this. After that, he forwarded a copy of the paternity test report sent to him by Tang Fan to Lan Yuan. Lan Yuan looked at the pages of the inspection report and frowned. Willie Smith gave it to you? He should not know you exist yet. So it was given to Tang Fan. Tang Gang nodded and admitted it readily. Lan Yuan snorted. What does he want to do? He picked up a girl for free without any effort, and also gave her half of Tang's mecha? He really has a good plan. Go Xiaogu, who was arguing with Zhao Jingshu, was attracted to the conversation after hearing a few key words, such as Tang Fan, Willie Smith, girl, and Tang's mecha. Aren't you here for Shushu? As soon as this was said, the surroundings suddenly became quiet, and all eyes were cast on Tang Gang. I came here specifically to see Jingshu, and by the way, to visit my poor girl. I have raised her for so many years, I can't let someone kidnap her like this, right? This answer is full of desire to survive. It was the first time that Lan Yuan knew that Tang Gang was so good at talking. Fortunately, Go Xiaogu and Zhao Jingshu were quite satisfied with this answer. At least he fooled the man. Tang Gang wiped the sweat from his forehead, took a deep breath, and winked at Lan Yuan. Principal Lan, stop laughing at me, help me. Don't look at the monk's face, look at the Buddha's face. Even if you don't give face to Tang Gang, the winner of the Purple Star Medal, you have to give face to your own money bag, Tang Yuan. Lan Yuan paused, then spoke, Xiaogu. Let him in. Although Go Xiaogu was reluctant in his heart, since Lan Yuan had spoken, he could only obey orders and symbolically turn sideways. Tang Gang didn't take this contemptuous attitude to heart. He stretched out his hand to rub Zhao Jingshu's hair and whispered, I'll go see off air first, meet Mr. Smith for a while, and then go to teacher Zhao to apologize. Hearing this, Go Xiaogu's eyes widened. But Zhao Jingshu didn't even look at him, but rubbed her head against Tang Gang's palm. I am 100% for my sister. But my sister is nothing to me. I am 1000% for my sister, but my sister throws me aside. Not only that, she also smiled at another man and even wanted to bring him home. His sister, whom he had raised with great difficulty, was about to be taken away by a wolf cub, but his sister was still willing. Go Xiaogu had a mouthful of old blood in his mouth and almost spit it out. Chapter 140, Home. Tang Gang has always been a man of keen observation, and he has seen Go Xiaogu's performance. While he was laughing in his heart, he moved his fingers slightly, rubbed Zhao Jingshu's head again, glanced at Go Xiaogu's dark face, and then walked towards the dormitory building. There were only a few robot administrators over there. After showing the pass given by Lan Yuan, the robot let them in. Tang Gang knocked on Tang Fan's dormitory door. There was a sound inside the room, but no one came to answer the door. It was obvious that the people in the room were annoyed by the knocking sound, so they made the door soundproof, and the door in front of him was just a decoration. Tang Gang rubbed his nose and could only use the optical brain to send a message to Tang Fan, and then waited for his daughter to open the door. Are there many people knocking on your door? Tang Fan shook his head. It's just recently. It will be fine after it passes. Tang Gang walked in with a frown, and looked at the empty dormitory and breathed a sigh of relief. Staring at Tang Fan, he said coldly, Go ahead. Tang Fan smiled bitterly twice and told Tang Gang everything that had happened recently. Tang Gang didn't say a word from beginning to end, but his expression became more and more ugly. If he comes to you again, you should agree. I will go with you to see what he wants to do. Looking at Tang Gang's gloomy face, Tang Fan dared not do anything except nod. Of course, she didn't want to do anything behind her father's back. Her father raised her for so many years, it was not easy. She would not make trouble for her father for an outsider. She invited her father and the 4 people who had eaten for free to have a meal together, and cleaned up a table of dishes, and asked Tang Gang to bring some to his future father-in-law and mother-in-law. Tang Fan's stool was not even warm yet, thinking about Tang Gang's instructions, and finally released Willie Smith from the blacklist. Her optical brain made a series of ding-ding-ding noises, which made Tang Fan's teeth ache. Tang Fan really didn't know where Willie Smith got so much nonsense. Thousands of text messages just flooded in. Tang Fan took his time to read them one by one, and then he realized that if a person becomes shameless, he has no bottom line. A scumbag who is too timing, actually sold a character of deep affection in front of him. He said that he loved Tang Meng the most, and he had to be with Zhang Awei. Tang Meng was the white moonlight he had been looking for, and she was also the child he hoped and expected the most. He really thought she was a silly and innocent girl who knew nothing. Olivia Smith was 1 month older than her. Did he have no idea that he and Zhang Awei got married with a baby? Even if he didn't mention this, did the child he and Zhang Awei had just been born not long ago come out of the cracks in the stone? While enjoying the benefits brought to him by his family, he coaxed himself. He wanted to grab both hands and take both sides. This eating manner is really ugly. Tang Fan was watching and complaining. Qing was waiting for Tang Gang to come back and share with him this love story full of loopholes that Willie Smith had made up. Tang Gang, on the other hand, was carrying a table of food that Tang Fan had carefully prepared, and walked towards Zhao Jingshu's house trembling with fear. Zhao Jingshu was born into a family of scholars. To be precise, Zhao Jingshu's ancestors for 3 generations were from the Blue Ocean Mecha Academy. Therefore, Zhao Jingshu's home was located in the family quarters of the Blue Ocean Mecha Academy. Zhao Jingshu's father Zhao Lang was a teacher in the art department of the Blue Ocean Mecha Academy, and her mother Hekin was a teacher in the logistics department. Although they were not Tang Gang's subject teachers, they were familiar with each other. During the years that Tang Gang and Zhao Jingshu were together, he even went to Zhao's house for free meals. Back then, he was in a legitimate relationship with a girl, and he went there with the intention of getting married. Tang Gang went there openly and ate with peace of mind. After many years, Tang Gang came to the house again, and felt a chill on his back and cold sweat. Especially when he opened the door and saw the Zhao family's full house, Go Xiaogu and Zhao Junji standing in the middle, sneering at him. Tang Gang's cold sweat broke out even more. Zhao Jingshu was also surprised. Uncle, and brother, sisters, and Junji, why are they all back? Hearing this, the Zhao family immediately laughed and cried. If they were not familiar with the little girl's temper, they would have thought she was chasing people away. Seeing Zhao Jingshu opened her mouth, Tang Gang also rushed to call people, and took the opportunity to put the banquet he brought steadily on the dining table. Elsewhere, it may be a bit embarrassing for a new son-in-law to send banquets to the door. But at the Blue Ocean Mecha Academy, banquets are definitely the most upscale gift. What's more, Tang Fan prepared a feast of 8 cold dishes, 8 hot dishes, 8 meat dishes and 8 vegetarian dishes. As soon as the lid was opened, the aroma immediately filled the air, making people drool. Half of the Zhao family's minds were attracted by the feast, including the future mother-in-law Hekin and Zhao Jingshu's brother Zhao Junji. This made Tang Gang feel relieved. Among the 4 votes from Zhao Jingshu's family, 2 abstained and 1 vote passed, leaving only Zhao Jingshu's father Zhao Lang's vote against. Tang Gang was very determined and planned to take it slowly. It's just a small gift, not a respect. Everyone, eat it while it's hot, it won't taste so good when it's cold. As soon as these words came out, Hekin and Zhao Junji couldn't sit still, and immediately arranged for everyone to sit down and chat while eating. But eating someone's mouth is soft, and taking someone's hand is short. Eating the food prepared by others, everyone's questions should not be too sharp, right? Zhao Lang and Go Xiaogu, who wanted to embarrass Tang Gang, were alone. Although the atmosphere was tense, Tang Gang was still able to cope. Zhao Lang was obviously dissatisfied with Tang Gang's evasive behavior. However, he could only suppress his anger with the presence of guests and the help of his wife and children. It's not that Tang Gang didn't see it. He also knew that Zhao Jingshu had been waiting for him for more than 10 years, and he should give an explanation to the Zhao family. But many of the things he did were top secret. Even if some things were declassified with the elimination of the Black Skull pirates, it was not suitable to be discussed in public. At this moment, Tang Fan sincerely thanked his daughter. If it weren't for his daughter's good cooking skills and sufficient preparation, it would not be so easy to get through today. After finishing the meal with great difficulty, relatives and friends were sent away. As soon as the door was closed, Zhao Lang was about to explode, but Tang Gang knelt down with a plop. A man's knees are made of gold, and Tang Gang's kneeling reduced Zhao Lang's anger by 3 points. We are not related, Colonel Tang, I cannot bear your kneeling. Tang Gang smiled bitterly. I am not hiding the truth on purpose to evade Mr. Zhao. It is really because my sister entrusted me with the wrong person and implicated my family. In order to avenge my family, I have been a spy for many years. Most of what I have done is confidential. I cannot be too public about it. Please forgive me. Zhao Lang's face looked a little better. Since it is a confidential matter and I cannot say more, then what are you kneeling for? We in the Zhao family are timid and afraid of trouble. We know that we can afford to avoid those we cannot afford to offend. Go away. Zhao Jingshu was anxious when she heard this. Dad. Chapter 141. Zhao Jingshu's twists and turns of dad made Zhao Lang completely understand what it means for a girl to be extroverted. Zhao Lang's face darkened as he looked at his daughter who was bent outward. He shook her head as she watched from the side. She reached out and pulled her daughter, pouted at Zhao Lang, and shook her head. Zhao Jingshu then realized that she had backfired. The little girl covered her mouth tightly, and there was a little more guilt in her eyes when she looked at Tang Gang. Tang Gang felt it, but he pretended not to see it. He knelt down honestly and told Zhao Lang and Zhao Zhenji, father and son, about his experiences over the years. Tang Gang's low voice echoed in the Zhao family. The story, which was obviously tortuous and bizarre, became particularly understated and not worth mentioning when it came out of his mouth. But although the Zhao family had not experienced the hardships, they could feel some of them. Zhao Lang's dissatisfaction with Tang Gang faded a bit. When parents and children disagree, most parents cannot win over their children. Tang Gang is in the eyes of the daughter, and she has not changed her mind after hearing the news of his death. What else can Zhao Lang do? He just walks away. You guys can do whatever you want, I don't care. Looking at Zhao Lang's back, Zhao Jingshu stuck out her tongue and hurried to help Tang Gang. You've been kneeling for so long, are you okay? Tang Gang glanced at Ikin, who seemed to be smiling, and Zhao Zhenji, who didn't even look at him, and patted Zhao Jingshu's hand. With my physical fitness, what can be wrong? No matter what, it's all my fault. It's normal for Mr. Zhao to be emotional, don't be petty with him. Everyone has a process of acceptance for things like resurrection from the dead. I'm still young and can wait. These words were said with such sincerity. Not to mention Zhao Jingshu, who looked at Tang Gang with starry eyes. Even the knowledgeable Hekin was moved and kept saying good boy. Zhao Lang stood in the shadow at the corner of the stairs, and he felt terrible. My wife and daughter are so easy to deceive, what should I do? Waiting online, it's urgent. After Tang Gang and Zhao Jingshu staged a farewell, they reluctantly left the classroom dormitory and walked towards the students' dormitory. Tang Fan had been waiting for a long time. Seeing Tang Gang, she didn't say anything, just took off her optical computer, threw it into Tang Gang's arms, and continued to study her mecha. Tang Gang frowned and clicked on the contact at the top. Looking at the 1,287 messages arranged in order, Tang Gang finally understood why Tang Fan threw the optical computer to him. Just looking at this string of messages, it might take at least 10 to 20 minutes. What's more, he had to analyze the authenticity and intention of Willie Smith's words. Tang Gang felt that it might take several hours to complete this arduous task. But when Tang Gang really read them one by one, he found that he had made a mistake in judgment. What is the analysis of authenticity and understanding of intention? He was definitely thinking too much. Willie Smith didn't tell a single truth from beginning to end. I don't know where he got the love triangle script from, but he changed the names of him, Tang Mang and Zhang Awei, and used it to fool Tang Fan. Does he really think that in this world, except for him, everyone else is a fool? With such an IQ, how could he deceive Tang Mang and cheat his father? It's incredible. Afan, let's meet this Mr. Smith together. Tang Fan continued to fiddle with her parts and said a word without raising her head. Okay, not only was Tang Gang curious, she also wanted to know what kind of medicine Willie Smith bought in his gourd. Seeing that Tang Fan agreed, Tang Gang quickly opened Tang Fan's light brain and replied with a message asking for an interview in Tang Fan's tone. Soon, Willie Smith agreed. The temperature difference between day and night in Blue Star is large, and Tang Gang made an appointment at the seaside. The sea breeze blew on his body with hot air, which made people irritable for no reason. In addition, the light brain kept ringing, which doubled Willie Smith's irritability. When the light brain rang for the 5th time, Willie Smith couldn't hold it anymore and picked it up. Olivia, what's the matter? Although he was upset, Willie, who was used to wearing a mask, still spoke softly and pleasantly. Olivia's flustered voice came from the other side. I went to see Mommy and found out that the child was taken away by my aunt as soon as he was born. Father, that's her Smith family's child. How can you agree to my aunt's unreasonable request? Willie was about to say that it was just a child, so it was not a big deal. But when the words came to his lips, he realized something and changed the subject. I know, I'll talk to her when I get back. Olivia frowned. Didn't father agree to my aunt? Willie didn't speak. His expression was cold and almost indifferent. After a long while, He lowered his head indifferently and said in a deep voice, "I have something else to do, so I'll hang up first." "Don't bother your aunt." Olivia was unwilling, but still nodded and agreed. In fact, if Willie didn't remind her, she might not dare to go to Anna Smith. Because her aunt is really too weird. You can see her smiling, but you have the illusion of being nailed by a poisonous snake. But Olivia herself doesn't dare to find Anna, but it doesn't prevent her from finding someone to investigate Anna. Just when Olivia arranged people to follow up and investigate Anna, Tang Gang and Tang Fan, father and daughter, also came to the beach one after another. Tang Gang just heard the last sentence, and immediately stopped, pulling Tang Fan back a few steps. Then he turned on the light brain and sent out a few messages. After a while, the message was fed back. Tang Gang took a look and put the light brain under Tang Fan's nose. Tang Fan leaned over to take a look, frowned, and whispered, "The child of Willie and Zhang Awei was taken away by Anna Smith as soon as it was hatched. What does she want?" Tang Gang tapped his palm and said in a deep voice, "It is said that Anna Smith had an accident in her early years and lost her fertility. Many people speculate that she is old and has no one to rely on. She wants to adopt Willie Smith's child to provide for her old age. However, I don't think so. The welfare benefits of the First Alliance College are very good. As the dean of the department, Anna's retirement problem will definitely be solved by the school. For so many years, her relationship with Olivia Smith has always been neither close nor distant, and I don't see how much she likes children. Maybe she wants a boy." Tang Fan rolled his eyes. The old calendar of the Earth era of favoring sons over daughters is no longer popular. "Can you give me some constructive suggestions?" Tang Gang shrugged. "What do you mean by constructive suggestions? Tell me one and let me hear it. I'll take it as a reference." Facing this father who never does anything right, Tang Fan didn't want to say a word. She stepped hard on Tang Gang's foot, twisted her waist, and walked towards Willie Smith step by step. Chapter 142 Acting. The moment he saw Tang Fan, Willie Smith's face was covered with a red halo, his eyes were jumping with excitement, and his joy was beyond words. It was not like seeing his own daughter, but more like seeing a credit point. Although Tang Fan did not have much expectation, he could not help but feel a chill in his heart, and his expression became a little colder when he saw this scene. Mr. Smith sent a message to little girl, thousands of messages at a time. "This behavior is not appropriate." Tang Fan's words were like a basin of cold water, which made Willie Smith, who was very excited, feel cold. In the past, he relied on his handsome appearance, bizarre life experience, and strong storytelling ability to win over Tang Meng and Zhang Awei in succession, as well as countless admirers behind him, and occupied the most popular alliance official among women for a long time. But in front of this little girl, it was ineffective. Are all little girls nowadays so cold and unreasonable? Willie Smith quickly took out the printed paternity test report and excitedly brought it to Tang Fan. "Child, take a look at this. You are my child, we are of the same bloodline, and it cannot be faked." Tang Fan glanced at it and sneered, "Really? That's a pity." Willie Smith's eyes were a little colder. "You don't believe this paternity test?" Tang Fan shook his head, his eyes were indifferent and emotionless. Since Mr. Smith took this thing out regardless of the hostility between the two families, he must be very sure. "How dare I not believe it?" Willie Smith's eyes were gradually covered with a layer of frost. "What do you mean?" Tang Fan said in a deep voice. "Before Mr. Smith came this time, we had never met before. But since I was born, I have eaten the Tang family's food, worn the Tang family's clothes, and followed the Tang family's surname. What do you think, Mr. Smith? Should I think?" Willie Smith paused and said hesitantly, "I don't mean to snatch you away from the Tang family. I just want to find the person I love most and the child I look forward to most. Am I wrong?" Tang Fan's veins jumped, and he was disgusted by Willie Smith's performance like a resentful woman in the deep palace. How can a businessman suffer a loss? "You disgust me, and I will disgust you back." Although she is not good at acting, she doesn't mind improvising. Tang Fan, who is as tall as a pine tree, also took on the posture of a little girl, holding her heart, pretending to be grateful, and said in an aria-like tone, "Mr. Smith is indeed a gentleman who puts feelings first. To be honest, the misunderstanding was too deep, and my mother was too shocked. After being brought back by my father, she has been in a coma. My father and I suffered a lot to pay for her medical expenses. Otherwise, we would not have been stranded on a 9th-level planet. Since Mr. Smith is so thoughtful, let's find time to visit her." As a new political upstart, Mr. Smith must have a lot of resources. Can you introduce 2 ninth-level therapists? Or change some good medicine for my mother? In this way, your deep love will not be in vain. It is immoral to think about picking peaches without paying. Since you are so affectionate and devoted, please pay for your performance. Tang Fan's big eyes stared at Willie Smith and blinked, full of expectation, waiting for Brad to eat the same thing. Willie Smith took a breath of cold air, and suddenly realized what it meant to steal a chicken but lose the rice. In the mouth of this girl, the 9th-level therapist became the cabbage on the street, and she wanted 2 at a time. The treatment fee that could make Tang Gang unable to straighten his back was an understatement in the mouth of this girl. It seemed that these were trivial matters that were not worth mentioning to Willie Smith. If you don't agree, it would be cold and unreasonable. Willie Smith felt that he was outwitted, and he was not feeling well. He still underestimated the girl in front of him. Meng Meng is my first love, the girl I love the most. I have tried my best to help. It's just that it's not easy to find a 9th-level therapist. Tang Fan didn't wait for him to finish his words, and he put on an ecstatic attitude. I also know that this matter is not simple, but Mr. Smith is so capable, he will definitely be able to do it. Willie Smith was about to say don't have too high expectations, but he swallowed it back. The character is already established, what else can he do? Of course, he agreed first. Seeing that Tang Fan was about to speak again, thinking about the medical expenses that made Tang Gang unable to straighten his back, Willie Smith quickly found an excuse and escaped. Seeing Willie Smith in such a mess, Tang Fan frowned. This level is not good. Tang Gang, who was not far away, was holding back his laughter, and his shoulders kept shaking. Seeing that Willie Smith could no longer be seen, he came out from his hiding place and patted Tang Fan on the shoulder. Well done. Tang Fan curled his lips and expressed his doubts. Suddenly, Tang Gang's expression froze instantly. He went through it from beginning to end, and the more he thought about it, the more wrong it seemed. Afan, you're right. This matter is not that simple. Tang Fan grabbed Tang Gang's hand and asked hurriedly, what did you find? Tang Gang patted Tang Fan's hand and comforted him. Baby, you have to know that before there is evidence, speculation is just speculation. I can only tell you that Zhang Awei and even Willie Smith may just be targets placed in the open by others. If we want to get revenge, we have to continue to dig deeper. Tang Fan narrowed his eyes and felt that the burden on his shoulders was heavier. How to dig? Do you have any clues? Tang Gang shook his head. Tang Fan was not sure for a moment whether he didn't know or was unwilling to say. If you don't say it, I won't ask. You always ask me to tell you something, and I will return this sentence to you today. You are not alone now, you have me and Teacher Zhao. It's okay for you to leave me aside, but if you dare to leave Teacher Zhao aside again, you can wait to be a bachelor for the rest of your life. Looking at his daughter who kept nagging like a little old lady, Tang Gang's heart softened into a pool of mud. He reached out and rubbed Tang Fan's furry head, and said with a smile, I know, little housekeeper. Tang Fan slapped Tang Gang's hand away in annoyance. You already have a girlfriend and are going to get married. Why haven't you changed your bad habit of touching me? Seeing Tang Fan frowning and sighing, looking distressed, Tang Gang didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Who is the father? Shui is the daughter? Did the father and daughter get the wrong script? Have you forgotten that I am your father? Do I need you to teach me how to do things? Tang Fan rolled his eyes silently, with a line of words clearly written on his face. What do you think? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 143 Inappropriate. The father and daughter quarreled, but when something happened, they still thought about it and worked together. For example, in the matter of pleasing the old couple of the Zhao family. For example, in the matter of sending Willie Smith away. Father and daughter are united, and their strength can break metal. With the efforts of the father and daughter, Willie Smith and the inspection team were sent away, and finally liberation was ushered in. Willie Smith may still want to get benefits from Tang Fan, or he may still be a little afraid of the Blue Ocean Mecha Academy, so he didn't make any trouble. This made everyone in the Blue Ocean Mecha Academy feel relieved. Family members know their own affairs. As an academy located in a remote area and with a rigorous academic style, in order to attract talents, the Blue Ocean Mecha Academy has come up with many ways. The most eye-catching one is not that excellent students can be exempted from tuition fees, but that as long as they are admitted to the Blue Sea Mecha Academy, they can be registered unconditionally. This means that all the black households in the alliance have the possibility of a new life. Although most of the students are good citizens with registered households. But there are a small number of people whose origins cannot withstand verification. Tang Fan, an illegitimate child, is still considered good. There are also descendants of criminals who have been deprived of their household registration by the alliance law. Although Lan Yuan is not afraid of Willie Smith using this as a handle to attack him, it is naturally more satisfying to have a smooth life. Lan Yuan attributed this to Tang Fan's merits and wished to give Tang Fan an immortal ranking. Tang Fan did not care about the immortal ranking, and only made a small request, asking him to say a few good words for Tang Gang in front of Zhao Lang and his wife. Lan Yuan also watched Tang Gang grow up, and was one of the few people who knew his experiences over the years. Facing Tang Fan's request, Lan Yuan naturally had no reason not to agree. With Lan Yuan's guarantee and Tang Fan's food assistance, he can quickly surrendered. And Zhao Lang, the old man, finally stopped giving Tang Gang the cold face. However, if he wants to be as warm as before, it will probably take some time. This matter cannot be rushed. Anyway, Tang Gang is still young and has plenty of time. Tang Gang's vacation is not long. He has done everything he should do and it is almost time to go back. However, he is not leaving alone. He is not taking Zhao Jingshu with him, but old man Li Bangsha. Tang Fan vaguely guessed something in his heart, but he was not sure. Just like Tang Gang said, without evidence, speculation will always be just speculation. But some ideas, once they come together, will grow like weeds, making people feel uneasy. Old man Li Bangsha has been gone for half a month, and Tang Fan has contacted him secretly. But old man Li's answer from beginning to end is, still observing. Tang Fan can only comfort himself with the words no news is good news. In fact, what old man Li Bangsha told Tang Fan was indeed the truth. He has been in a state of observation. After many years of working, this is the first time that old man Li Bangsha has encountered Tang Meng's condition. After being a vegetative for nearly 20 years, Tang Meng's health has not deteriorated, but has improved slightly, and is slightly better than before he got sick. Not only had he not encountered it, but after searching through all the books and materials, Grandpa Li Bangsha could not find a second example. It was really mysterious, but it also aroused Grandpa Li Bangsha's endless interest. Grandpa Li Bangsha stayed on Hongyu Star for the entire semester. During the winter vacation, Grandpa Li Bangsha not only did not come back to spend the new year with his family, but instead summoned his beloved disciple Qin Yi to Hongyu Star to see the wonders together. Qin Yi, this little girl, was most interested in eating and making potions. As soon as she heard Grandpa Li Bangsha's call, she immediately pulled George and boarded the starship to Hongyu Star. Qin Yi's potion-making level was really incomparable to that of Grandpa Li Bangsha. But as a young person, especially a young person with potential, Qin Yi also had a flexible mind that Grandpa Li Bangsha did not have. She looked through Tang Mangan's inspection reports and other materials over the years, as well as Grandpa Li Bangsha's recent records, and put forward a bold idea. According to the records, Aunt Tang Mangan's physical fitness was very average before, but after being brought back, it has improved significantly. This is contrary to the rule that physical strength level will decline temporarily after pregnancy. I suspect that Aunt Tang Mangan took some special medicine before she became pregnant. Perhaps this is the reason for her coma. Mr. Li had been studying for half a year without any progress, but because of Qin Yi's words, he had a new idea. Zhang Awei of Zhang's Mecha is also in a coma now. Qin Yi nodded, and then looked at Mr. Li Bangsha in disbelief. What do you mean? Mr. Li Bangsha stopped Qin Yi from continuing, touched his chin, and sneered, whether it is or not, we can only know after investigation. Qin Yi looked at Mr. Li Bangsha with a blank face. How to investigate? Mr. Li Bangsha laughed. I have lived for most of my life, I can still solve this little thing. After that, he took out the light brain and poked it a few times with agility. After a while, the old man's light brain flashed. Old Master Li Bangsha clicked it and smiled. I heard that there is a medical exchange meeting on the Capital Star recently, right at the Capital Hospital. I got 2 tickets. How about you come with me to visit and learn? Qin Yi smiled when she heard it. Obedience is worse than respect. After that, the master and apprentice smiled tacitly. When you are in the local area, many things will become extra easy, right? The master and apprentice took George and boarded the starship to the capital star, and arrived at the capital hospital smoothly. Before old Master Lee Banksha could come up with a solution, the solution came to the door. Miss Olivia Smith came to the door with Zhang Awei's medical records. Is this sleepiness meets pillow? Old Master Lee Banksha didn't hesitate for long, and asked Qin Yi to welcome her in. Although Olivia was spoiled and willful, arrogant and domineering, she really had nothing to say to Zhang Awei. Willie Smith didn't take Zhang Awei's illness seriously. She was suspicious of Anna Smith, so she could only look for help from pharmacists who were not familiar with Anna. But the circle of pharmacists was so small, and there were only a handful of people who had no relationship with Anna. Even fewer people were willing to see a nobody like her. After finally meeting Mr. Lee Banksha, Olivia acted like she had grabbed a life-saving straw. Without waiting for Lee Banksha to speak, Olivia spilled the beans and told him everything she knew. Together with Zhang Awei's medical records, they were all sent to Mr. Lee Banksha's computer. Mr. Lee Banksha looked at it slowly and shared it with Qin Yi secretly. Chapter 144 Doubt. One person's plan is short, two people's plan is long, and three people's plan is complete. Before Mr. Lee Banksha said anything, Qin Yi had already circled the information and sent it back. It is said that the bacteria on Zhang Awei's wound will multiply rapidly after contacting the nutrient. Before the treatment drug is developed, except for the nutrients necessary to maintain life, no more can be taken. But in fact, several months have passed, and Zhang Awei is still alive and well. Mr. Lee Banksha also saw the strangeness in it, nodded and agreed to Olivia's request, and took Qin Yi to Zhang Awei's ward. The scar on Zhang Awei's lower abdomen has spread to the entire waist and abdomen, and countless small black spots continue to spread, which looks particularly terrifying. Mr. Lee Banksha did not fail to see it, but he was particularly calm, checking the data bit by bit, not panicking at all. Although Zhang Awei suffered such a serious bacterial infection, her physical fitness did not decline at all, but was better than ever before. 80% of her and Tang Mangan's indicators are similar to those of normal people. 8 of the indicators were the same as Tang Mangan, slightly higher than normal people, which might be the reason for their coma. Another 7 indicators were more than 3 times higher than Tang Mangan, and 2 indicators were much lower than Tang Mangan. Old Master Lee Banksha suspected that 1 or more of these 9 indicators must be caused by the strange bacterial infection. Old Master Lee Banksha hinted to Qin Yi to record the data, and then ticked the 17 abnormal items. This is the first time I have encountered such a situation as Ms. Zhang. There are many obvious abnormalities in her data. However, the specific cause needs further research and observation. After speaking, Old Master Lee Banksha pursed his lips and left. Qin Yi, who had been standing behind Old Master Lee Banksha, fell back 2 steps and whispered to Olivia, "Human factors cannot be ruled out." These simple words made Olivia's eyes pop out. As for who she thought of, Qin Yi said that she didn't want to know. When they returned to their residence, Qin Yi secretly sent a message to Tang Fan. Mission accomplished. Tang Fan received the message and smiled. It is easier to fish in murky waters. When snipe and clams fight, the fisherman can benefit. Tang Mangan and Zhang Awei had different causes of illness, so she let it go. Now, the 2 women who have close relationships with Willie Smith have the same problem, and Tang Fan can't help but think about it. It's even more impossible to blame her for provoking Olivia, the young man, to be the first to come out in the Pioneer. After all, when Tang Mangan got into trouble, she was still in her mother's womb and knew nothing. And the only person who knew about it, Tang Gang, didn't want her to get involved in such a dirty thing at all, and never mention the past. It was too difficult for her to find the culprit. But Olivia was different. The eldest daughter of the Smith family, with Zhang as a backer, she could do whatever she wanted. The news was handed to Olivia, and Tang Fan didn't forget to tell Tang Gang and his cheat father, Mr. Willie Smith. Where Tang Gang was, Tang Fan just said it directly. Where Willie Smith was, Tang Fan didn't forget to take a few more detours. After all, the degree of trust is different. If you really want to tell Willie Smith directly like you told Tang Gang, what will he think? Wouldn't he have to think about it for a long time and have trouble sleeping and eating? For the sake of everyone's peace of mind, she should take a few more detours. Anyway, it's not a big deal. After doing all this, Tang Fan followed Oren to learn starship casting technology while waiting to watch the show. In fact, not only Tang Fan, but Tang Gang also kept an eye on Olivia. When Tang Gang knew that Olivia ran to the first academy of the Alliance and had a big fight with Anna Smith, he was not feeling well. For nearly 20 years, he never thought that he, who is knowledgeable and shrewd, would actually misjudge someone. If it weren't for Olivia's performance, he almost forgot that he took Tang manganese from Anna Smith's laboratory, or to be more precise, from the treatment cabin. He always thought that Willie Smith had Tang manganese with Anna Smith. But he never thought that Anna Smith herself was a 7th-level pharmacist. It is very likely that Anna Smith was responsible for Tang Meng's transformation. He was blinded by a single leaf. Such a stupid thing actually happened to him. After wasting so many years in vain, Tang Gang wanted to slap himself twice. Tang Gang's focus of investigation quietly shifted from Willie Smith to Anna Smith. When observing from a different angle, Tang Gang saw different things. This Ms. Anna Smith was far from being as simple as she seemed. Looking back at Ms. Anna's first half of her life, Tang Gang was surprised to find that anyone who had grievances with her, regardless of gender, age, or social status, had no good ending without exception. Among them, more than half died of accidental illness. And every time, she had a perfect alibi. This was too coincidental. Tang Gang preferred to believe that all coincidences were deliberately planned by some people. Wherever you go, there must be footprints. If it was really her who did it, Tang Gang felt that he would definitely find her flaws. Perhaps, when he found Tang Meng's laboratory, Tang Gang narrowed his eyes, contacted Lawar, and sent all the things he found in the laboratory to Grandpa Li Bangsha. Grandpa Li Bangsha, who had just returned from the capital planet, felt terrible when he saw the things in front of him and heard Tang Gang's request. No matter how good the things are, they have no research value after nearly 20 years, okay? It is simply unreasonable to want to find clues from these antiques. But Tang Gang, is it useful to refuse? In addition, his beloved disciple Qin Yike encouraged him, no matter how difficult it was. Grandpa Li Bangsha could only bite the bullet. Unexpectedly, Grandpa Li Bangsha really made some discoveries. Among the things Tang Gang brought back, there was a small piece of smooth stuff that was neither gold nor jade. After Grandpa Li Bangsha's identification, it turned out to be an animal bone. Moreover, the composition of this animal bone is extremely special. Even the pharmacist master, Mr. Li Bangsha, who is known as a walking encyclopedia, does not know some of its components. Mr. Li Bangsha is very sure that this is definitely not the bone of a known star beast or human. So what kind of bone is this? Is it related to the coma of Tang Meng and Zhang Awei? Not only Tang Gang was puzzled, but even Mr. Li Bangsha was trapped in the mystery and couldn't extricate himself. The only answer may be in Anna Smith's laboratory. But not everyone can enter Anna Smith's laboratory. Even Olivia Smith, the niece, does not have this honor. Chapter 145, Immortal Mushroom Divine Bone. Who has this honor? Old Master Li Bangsha couldn't think of it, Qian Yue couldn't think of it, and even Tang Fan couldn't think of it, but Tang Gang picked out one person from the people around Anna Smith. Anna Smith's younger brother, Willie Smith. In all these years, he was the only man who had quarreled with Anna Smith but didn't suffer any accidents. Tang Gang believed that he must be a special existence for Anna Smith. However, how to use Willie Smith to achieve his own goals is definitely a century-old problem. Family? Love? Friendship? For Mr. Willie Smith, none of them seemed to be very important. What he valued seemed to be only interests. As for the interests that could make him turn against his side and even betray Anna Smith, Tang Gang seemed to be unable to come up with them. But if he couldn't come up with them, it would be fine if someone could. Tang Gang narrowed his eyes and began to think about it. In fact, he didn't have many chips in his hand. After so many years, he had almost used up all of them. He didn't even consider Tang Fan and Zhao Jingshu. He couldn't bear to involve the girl he held in his hand. Now, apart from Lan Yuan, Song Yuanshi and Lawar, Tang Gang couldn't find any other candidates for the time being. Lan Yuan and Song Yuanshi could only do something above board. This method of calculating people had to be discussed with Lawar. The two had known each other for many years. To put it nicely, they had a common language. To put it bluntly, they were like-minded. Tang Gang just sent all the information, and Lawar replied, "How are you going to deal with him?" Tang Gang said nothing, but sent a copy of Mr. Li Bangsha's research data. Soon, there was a wave of buying a magical, unknown animal bone named Xianxi Shengu on the black market. It is said that this Xianxi Shengu has a special polysaccharide and total amino acids. It can not only benefit the stomach and produce fluid, but also has the effects of nourishing yin and clearing heat, relieving fever and pain, and can promote the secretion and digestion of gastric juice, which helps to enhance metabolism and anti-aging. To sum up, it can be summed up in one sentence: treat the disease if you have it, and protect yourself if you don't have it. It is said that there was a mercenary who, after taking this bone-extracted medicine, both his physical and mental strength were improved by a whole level. Of course, no one has ever seen this mercenary, but it definitely does not hinder people's enthusiasm. After all, the temptation of improving physical and mental strength by a whole level is enough to make most of the residents of the Alliance crazy. According to legend, the place where the bones were first discovered, that is, the former site of Anna Smith's laboratory, was almost trampled to the ground by fanatical bounty hunters and mercenaries. Although Anna Smith noticed that something was wrong with this matter and actively launched a rumor-refuting campaign, the effect was obviously not good. There are even many people who like to maliciously speculate about others, such as Willie Smith, who have begun to doubt the purpose of Anna Smith's rumor-refuting. Trust between people? It doesn't exist. Willie Smith began to appear in front of Anna frequently and made indirect attacks. From the birth of Tang Fan, to the belonging of the little boy who was just named Titan, to the recent immortal mushroom Garbone, Willie Smith showed strong distrust of Anna Smith. Anna Smith showed strong indignation more than once, but Willie asked her to explain. She hesitated and couldn't say anything. Seeing Anna's evasiveness, Willie Smith was angry. He remembered his child named Titan who was taken away by Anna just after he broke out of the shell, and he came up with a plan. He used the child as a bargaining chip to exchange with Anna for the immortal mushroom Garbone that could improve physical and mental strength. Willie thought that Anna would definitely compromise with him because of her appreciation for the child. Unexpectedly, Anna refused. This angered Willie. As a father, he filed a lawsuit with the Miners Protection Center and forcibly snatched the child named Titan back from Anna. Anna didn't expect that Willie would do such a stupid thing that killed 1,000 enemies and hurt himself 800, and was caught off guard for a while. What she didn't expect was that the Miners Protection Center had been infiltrated by others. In the name of protecting the rights of minors, they conducted a comprehensive physical examination on the child named Titan. The results of the physical examination exceeded many people's imagination. The child, who was born not long ago, actually reached Class B in both physical and mental strength. This is definitely the one with the highest physical fitness among newborns since the establishment of the Alliance. No one else. As his parents, whether it is Willie Smith or Zhang Awei, they are not as good as geniuses. So how did this child become such a super genius? For a time, rumors that Anna Smith possessed the immortal bone, as well as mature pharmaceutical technology and clinical experiments, spread like wildfire. Specific examples? The legendary mercenaries are not easy to find, and the ready-made super genius baby is not on the Smith family. Anna Smith's early work of refuting rumors became a cover-up in the eyes of the Alliance people. For the first time in her life, Anna Smith miscalculated. Like a trapped beast, Anna walked around in the laboratory, looking at the non-stop ringing optical brain, her eyes wide open. She wanted to smash the optical brain. But she knew that smashing the optical computer would not solve any problems. Anna took a deep breath, and a hint of coldness appeared on her face. Don't they want some immortal mushroom bone? Don't they want to quickly improve their physical fitness? Then it's as they wish. I just hope that those who get the so-called immortal mushroom bone will not regret it. Anna Smith made up her mind and fiddled with the laboratory equipment. I don't know how she fiddled with it. When she dropped a drop of colorless and odorless liquid into a test tube, a puff of thick smoke and a secret door appeared in front of Anna. She put down the dropper in her hand, walked into the door, and stepped into the long and dark path. The secret door closed silently. Anna Smith turned on the power of the backup optical computer and walked forward step by step. The first academy of the Alliance was left far behind her. At the end of the secret passage, there was a brand new outfit. Anna took a potion, which made her skin dry and yellow quickly. She changed her clothes from head to toe and came out from another secret door. At this time, she was no longer the head of the pharmacy department of the First Alliance College, Anna Smith. She had a new identity. Mrs. Brown, a wealthy widow who lived alone in the capital star. With a lonely personality but very rich. The author went to celebrate the new year, so the next chapter will be a little late, please forgive me. Chapter 146 Gene Sequence. In the Zhangyang community of Capital Star, Neighbors all knew that although the widowed Mrs. Brown had a very strange temper, the arrival of guests in Mrs. Brown's house immediately caused a sensation in the community. Unlike Mrs. Brown, the visitor was a rare generous person. Moreover, he did not ask for much. He just wanted to find out about the latest popular attraction nearby, the ruins of Anna Smith's former laboratory. In view of the generosity of the visitor, everyone was very willing to help. After all, that place was well known and was not a secret at all. This group of guests came in a mighty manner and dug at the ruins of the laboratory for 3 whole days without any concealment. Many people were waiting to see the joke, but they did not expect that this group of people did not come excitedly like others and leave in disgrace. They actually found something and secretly stuffed it into the space buckle. Although their actions were concealed, they still could not hide from the many eyes that were watching closely. What's more, after they finished their work, they immediately rushed to the black market of Capital Star. Who would believe that there was no trick? However, before the transaction began, this group of people were put in sacks. Not only were their space taken away, they were not even left with their pants. This kind of human tragedy is unprecedented. It immediately attracted the attention of the entire Capital Star and was listed as the biggest case of the year. The Public Security Bureau was in charge of the case, and all the relevant personnel in the Capital Star took action. Unfortunately, 10 days passed, and there was no progress at all. It was as if the group of people in sacks appeared out of thin air and suddenly disappeared. The water in the Capital Star was even more muddy, and the fish that Tang Fan wanted to touch seemed to be sneaking away. Just when everyone was at a loss, many hospitals in the Capital Star received some special patients one after another. This group of people were of different ages and physical fitness, but they all had 2 common characteristics. First, their physical fitness, that is, physical strength and mental strength, had been greatly improved. Second, without exception, they all fell into coma. Although the official did not give an accurate explanation, many people were speculating whether this group of people had anything to do with that damn immortal mushroom bone. For a time, there were many different opinions. The immortal mushroom bone became even more popular. The name Anna Smith, as well as things related to her, especially the research project in her hands, suddenly became a hot spot for national searches and attention. Just after going out to stir up trouble, thinking that everything was fine, Anna Smith, who had just returned to the First Academy of the Alliance and had not even sat down yet, almost vomited blood. Yes. Whether it was the bounty hunter who went to the old laboratory site to dig bones, or the group of people who went to put sacks behind, they were all arranged by her. That damn immortal mushroom bone never appeared at all. But now on the capital planet, those people who appeared for no reason and had the same reaction as the first phase experimenters, where did they come from? Anna Smith couldn't sit still. She was eager to go to the hospital to take a look. You don't know until you see it, and you'll be shocked when you see it. The medical records and data of those patients are so similar to the first phase test samples in her hands. If she hadn't destroyed the first batch of experimental samples, she would have begun to doubt whether they were discovered and moved out. Anna Smith, who is always calm and composed, could not show her cold goddess style at this moment, and her expression was a little more nervous. Although Anna Smith hid it well, she couldn't fool the eyes of those who were interested. At least, she couldn't hide it from Willie Smith, who grew up with her. After just one encounter, Willie Smith saw that something was wrong with Anna. As a person whose brain worked faster than his body, Willie Smith immediately started to have conspiracy theories. He took Anna aside and said coldly, "You did all this? You did Zhang Awei's thing? Do you know that whether it is the Earth era or the interstellar era, living research is strictly prohibited?" Anna Smith glanced at Willie and sneered, "Every progress in history is accompanied by pain. If humans want to fully understand themselves and transform perfectly, they must pay a certain price. Survival of the fittest. You know this principle better than me." Willie Smith looked at Anna in disbelief. "I understand all these principles. But Zhang Awei, no matter what, is also one of us." "You are going too far," Anna laughed. "You never treated her as your wife, but you want me to treat her as a family member? A woman whose genetic sequence is not much more similar to mine than an orangutan. Why should I value her? If she didn't have a good father, if she didn't become your nominal wife, I would never let her become Titan's mother." Willie looked at the familiar yet strange woman in front of him, and was so surprised that he couldn't speak. The woman in front of him was totally different from the sister who always treated him tenderly in his memory. She was cold, ruthless, selfish, and took it for granted. Willie was heartbroken. "Anna, how did you become like this?" Anna Smith looked at Willie deeply and sneered. "I have always been like this and have never changed. I just treat you a little bit better because of our similar gene sequences. It's you who took my kindness to you for granted." Willie covered his chest, took 2 steps back, and looked at her with heavy breath. "You treat me well because we have similar gene sequences." Anna shrugged her shoulders. "What else?" Willie Smith clenched his fists, and his nails scratched a few white marks on the palm of his hand. He said with a little sarcasm, "In your eyes, is there anything else besides gene sequence?" Anna did not fail to hear the sarcasm in his words, but she didn't take it to heart at all. "There is nothing more fascinating than gene sequences in the world. Willie, don't you think that such excellent gene sequences as ours should be further preserved and carried forward? As the father of a genius like Titan, don't you feel honored?" Looking at Anna's excited eyes, Willie couldn't help but shudder and took a few steps back. The woman in front of him was not his sister, but a complete lunatic. She valued herself in Titan not because of family affection, but because of similar gene sequences. "What about Olivia? From the time she was born to now, you have never looked at her straight in the eye." Anna curled her lips. "What's there for me to care about a failure like Zhang Awei? Compared to her, the little girl named Tang Fan from Blue Star is more like a member of the Smith family. If there's a chance, I would like to know her gene sequence. However, it should not be better than Titan." Anna waved her arms excitedly, but calmed down under Willie's cold eyes. Chapter 147. "You don't believe me?" Anna's voice was a little cold. Willie Smith shook his head. "No, I do. I believe you are a complete lunatic. A lunatic who treats his relatives as experimental subjects and is complacent. You let Zhang Awei give birth to Titan, not because you long for family affection, but to give you another experimental subject. I also feel that I am going crazy and being driven crazy by you." Anna tilted her head and looked at Willie. "Isn't it great to have a perfect genius as your child?" Willie sneered. "If this child can cooperate with your experiments and become an excellent pharmacist and can be used by you, it would be even better, right?" Anna spread her hands and said very simply, "What's wrong with this? You got a genius son, and I got an extra helper and experimental subject, and everyone is happy. As for Zhang Awei, anyway, you don't have any feelings for her. What does it have to do with you whether she is alive or dead? People in the Smith family have always put interests first." Anna didn't believe that her brother was a person who put family affection first, as she could trade her son for the immortal bone. He just didn't see the benefits. "When the technology matures and stabilizes, we will be able to master the best talents in the entire alliance. Hawks and doves will no longer exist. Smith's faction is what people want. Don't you look forward to such a beautiful prospect?" Anna Smith's voice was full of temptation. It must be said that Willie Smith was shaken. After all, he was the kind of person Anna thought he was, the kind of person who put interests first. Willie Smith was finally attracted by the big pie Anna drew. However, neither of them knew that their conversation was heard and recorded by another person. Olivia, who heard everything, stood in the shadows, trembling all over. This is her father, this is her aunt. Family affection and friendship are just jokes in their eyes. Children are just bargaining chips for exchanging interests, or a test product. And she is still unqualified. Just because her gene sequence is very similar to her mother, not her father. The noble Smith family may have forgotten the days when they struggled on the poorer planet. They forgot that the reason they are here today is all because of the support of Zhang. Now, they want to cross the river and demolish the bridge, and they have to ask her, Olivia, if she allows it. Olivia put away her light brain, squinted her eyes, and waited quietly. After Anna and Willie left, she came out of the shadows. She wanted to let them know what kind of great role the unqualified products in their eyes would play. Olivia sneered and strode towards Zhang's mecha. No matter how talented Olivia is, as the legitimate first-line heir of Zhang's mecha, she can walk sideways in Zhang's mecha. Of course, she wanted to retrieve the accounts of Zhang's mecha over the years and check the accounts of the experimental funds paid by Zhang's mecha to Anna Smith, and no one dared to stop her. The accounts of the later period were vague and there was no trace to be found. But the accounts of the early years, especially when Grandpa was still alive, were exceptionally clear. Olivia couldn't understand, but she believed that there would always be someone who could understand. She took these accounts and found a financial staff to learn little by little. In the end, she grasped the most important point. After Anna Smith obtained project fund support from Zhang. In just 1 year, Anna Smith purchased raw materials from the distant planet Emira 18 times. Every year since then, the number of times Anna purchased raw materials has increased. What is there on the planet Emira? Olivia didn't know, but she believed that someone knew. For example, Grandpa Lee Banksha. With this question, Olivia contacted Grandpa Lee Banksha. When Grandpa Lee Banksha heard the word Emira, he remembered the changes in Tang Mangan and Zhang Awei, as well as the mecha casting master Zhao Pu who fell there, and his expression changed immediately. Emira is the most marginal area of the alliance and the former defense focus of the military. Where did Anna Smith purchase what raw materials? Are those who sold raw materials to Anna related to Zhao Pu's death? Old Master Lee Banksha felt that he had touched something extraordinary. I don't know the specific situation. But there is no smoke without fire. What Anna Smith purchased from Emira is likely to be star beasts, or even human skeletons, or even more terrifying things. Old Master Lee Banksha's expression was not good, and Olivia's expression was not very good either. She thought of Anna Smith's laboratory that never allowed others to enter, and those things that could not be distinguished from their original prototypes, and Olivia shuddered. If we can get the raw materials, will my mother's disease be improved and cured? Old Master Lee Banksha rubbed his temples. I dare not say for sure that there will be gains. However, if we can't find the root cause and determine the cause of the disease, we will definitely not be able to treat it. Olivia nodded. I know, the ability of the little girl was obviously underestimated. In less than 3 days, the little girl used her credit points to break out a channel and get a batch of raw materials from the planet Emira. When Grandpa Lee Banksha saw the batch of raw materials, his expression became even more stern. Grandpa Lee Banksha used the batch of raw materials to create 3 organisms. Using 8D technology, Grandpa Lee Banksha even restored their appearance. Lee Banksha, this is a creature that has never been seen before, but judging from their genes, this alien creature is much stronger than the physical strength of the residents of the Alliance. Grandpa Lee Banksha, in a responsible attitude towards himself and others, quickly informed Lan Yuan of the news. Soon, Lan Yuan and Song Yuanxi arrived together. Looking at the 3 biological models and the data collected by Grandpa Lee Banksha, both of them took a breath of cold air. The physical fitness of this creature is not inferior to that of ordinary purple-level mechas. If this creature has a strong reproductive ability, it can definitely kill humans. This mutant species only exists on the planet Emira, or has it spread to the surrounding areas? How many are there? Lan Yuan and Song Yuanxi were shocked and broke out in a cold sweat. What they could think of, Anna Smith, as a 7th-level pharmacist, could not have thought of. But instead of reporting to the Alliance government, she used them to develop genetic drugs and conduct live experiments. Lan Yuan and Song Yuanxi wanted to catch this woman and beat her up. However, it was useless. Chapter 148 Canberra. 17 teachers from the pharmacy department of the Blue Sea Mecha Academy were all gathered together. They didn't have to do anything but study those mutant creatures. Not only that, even young assistants with potential like Qin Yu were called in to assist in investigating and studying these mutant creatures. Lan Yuan was busy coordinating the research, and Song Yuanxi was not idle either. He sent Tang Gang to lead the most elite team of the 9th Corps of the Expeditionary Force to the front line of the planet Emira. Tang Gang and his team played the role of bounty hunters who were commissioned by a starship foundry to find special raw materials. In order to meet their identities and withstand the test, they set out from the vicinity of the Savage Galaxy, abandoned the standard starship of the Expeditionary Force, and instead boarded a warship modified from a scrapped standard starship commonly used by star pirates, heading towards the Gamma star field where the planet Emira was located. As soon as he boarded the starship, Tang Gang felt that something was wrong, but he didn't know what was wrong. It wasn't until Tang Gang passed by the Red Moon Star and caught a glimpse of Raoul's starship that he came to his senses. They went to investigate the situation as bounty hunters. In this case, you have to look like a bounty hunter. In a place like the Canberra Star Field, apart from a very small number of indigenous residents, there are no shortage of various pirates, mercenaries and bounty hunters. Whether it is the indigenous residents, pirates, mercenaries or bounty hunters, what they hate most is the Alliance leaders and regular troops. If you want to get along with them, you must become like them and abide by their rules. Tang Gang is familiar with this. But his men, who graduated from the Blue Sea Mecha Academy and joined the Expeditionary Force, don't understand it at all. Maybe 1 or 2 of them have had this experience, but after staying in school and the Expeditionary Force for a long time, I'm afraid they have almost forgotten it. Tang Gang felt that he needed to take these children to see the other side of the alliance, the side behind the glamorous and beautiful. Let them know that under the same sky, there are many people who are poorly clothed and hungry. What keeps them persisting and alive is just a hope to get out of trouble. As long as you are good enough and can get a ticket to the Blue Sea Star, you can say goodbye to the past and become a new self. Thousands of people on the planets are working hard for such a tiny hope. Only when you know the misfortunes of others can you cherish the luck in front of you. Cats have their own ways, and mice have their own ways. During the years that Tang Gang has been a spy, he has accumulated a lot of connections. With a small team of people, he can take the path that ordinary bounty hunters would take. Of course, when necessary, bounty hunters don't mind playing the role of star pirates or mercenaries. Tang Gang naturally has to take them through it. From the base to the most prosperous Canberra planet in the Gamma Star Field, they have seen prosperity and desolation, and experienced the warmth and coldness of human feelings. The three views of this group of children have been completely subverted. When they went from being uncomfortable to gradually familiar, a transformation from appearance to heart was also completed silently. When they arrived at the Canberra planet, they were already two different people from when they first came out. The military temperament in them has disappeared, and they have acquired many bad habits that only pirates and bounty hunters have. For example, the standard alliance language has a variety of accents. For example, they start to wear whatever clothes are comfortable. For example, they don't ask about the source of food, just to fill their stomachs. For example, no matter when and where, even when sleeping, they remain alert. These changes are not all good, but they can allow them to quickly integrate into the group of bounty hunters. More friends, more ways. This sentence is also very suitable here. The Gamma Star Field is located in a remote area. Even in the most prosperous Canberra planet, food, clothing, housing and transportation are not so easy to solve. The supplies here are in short supply. When all the daily necessities arrive here, the price will increase several times. The same is true for accommodation. Tang Gang and his group of 12 people almost slept on the streets. Fortunately, he found an acquaintance and rented a house from the local indigenous residents under the introduction of others and settled down. The three small bungalows, with a total area of less than 80 square meters, have a monthly rent that is equivalent to the price of a high-end apartment in the capital Star. Tang Gang grimaced in pain and complained loudly that the reward he asked for was too low and that he would lose money on this trip. The landlord took the anonymous credit card prepared by Tang Gang, automatically filtered out the not-so-elegant words used by Tang Gang when he complained, and gave Tang Gang, a newbie who is not familiar with the situation in Canberra, some conscientious advice. There are two main suggestions. First, don't provoke the local snakes in Canberra, the Canberra City Guard. Second, Canberra is surrounded by mutant creatures with hard bodies. If you don't have a mecha above the purple level, don't go to deliver food. After all, if you lose credit points, you can still earn them back. If you lose people, you have nothing. By the way, the landlord also specially recommended the purple level peak mecha of Tang's mecha. However, the purple level peak mecha in Canberra is more than twice as expensive as that in the capital Star. Tang Gang naturally accepted the landlord's conscientious advice. However, his way of accepting it was quite unique. The recording was kept as evidence and shared with Principal Lan Yuanlin and Marshal Song Yuanshi. After repeatedly expressing that he did not need a purple level peak mecha, Tang Gang sent away the landlord who gave conscientious advice, and his face immediately fell. The news came at a very timely moment, but Tang Gang's expression was not very good. Because this meant that the situation on the planet Canberra, and even the entire Gamma Star Field, was very serious. The next day, after Tang Gang and his team walked around Canberra, their expressions became even uglier. The mutant creatures in Canberra were more than what the landlord said. They had reached the point of rampage. In Canberra's most famous street garden, Tang Gang and his team encountered two mutant creatures of different species. But the people around, whether they were indigenous residents, all looked accustomed to it. As for those star pirates, mercenaries and bounty hunters, when they saw those mutant creatures, they did not look accustomed to it, but in another state, the excitement of seeing credit points. They drove mechas in groups of 3 or 5, attracted the mutants nearby, and started a fierce battle. As long as they got rid of one, they were as happy as picking up credit points. Of course, it was not much different from picking up credit points. Because, as long as the mutants were brought to the city guards, They could almost exchange for a year's worth of nutrients. This was not hearsay, but something Tang Fan had personally tested. One mutant was exchanged for 700 nutrients, and you could choose the flavor you wanted, and it was fair to everyone. The city guards guaranteed that you deserved it. Although, in a place like the capital planet, nutrients were not worth much. But in Canberra, or in a more remote place, nutrients were more useful than credit points. Chapter 149. Since mutants can be exchanged for nutrients, they have become a hot commodity in the eyes of star pirates, mercenaries, and bounty hunters. Fortunately, this thing is everywhere, so it doesn't cause these people to fight. Tang Fan organized everyone to symbolically capture a few mutants, exchanged for a batch of nutrients, and went back to the house to rest. In fact, he connected with Lan Yuan and Song Yuanshi to discuss the big plan. Looking at the video shared by Tang Fan in real time, Lan Yuan and Song Yuanshi's expressions were not very good. There are two questions that have been lingering in their minds. First, where did this mutant come from? Second, what did the city guards do with these mutants after collecting them? After discussing, there was no answer to these two questions. Practice is the only criterion for testing truth. So, this also became Tang Fan's task. Speaking of it, it's just a matter of 2 sentences, but it's very troublesome to do it. Because Tang Fan clearly felt that his every move was being watched by countless eyes. This feeling is terrible. Tang Fan narrowed his eyes and simply asked someone to take the rest of the team to the suburbs to earn extra money. He followed lazily behind, and while being a supervisor, he also observed where the eyes staring at him came from. As a professional, Tang Fan found out the owner of these eyes and the person behind them in just 2 days. The Canberra Planet City Guard, the nominal protector of Canberra, is actually the local tyrant of Canberra. After all, how could anyone be allowed to interfere with the unique business of exchanging one mutant for 700 nutrients? Tang Fan sneered and went to the supermarket opposite the city guard to shop for things for the whole day. By the way, he studied the organizational structure of the city guard. In the middle of the night, Tang Fan played a star pirate and found the captain of the city guard and robbed him, leaving only his underwear. Tang Fan's luck was really good. The captain did not expect that he would overturn on his own territory. Besides, the next day was the delivery day. More than 3,000 bodies of mutants were stuffed into a space buckle, and they were well prepared. Tang Fan was too lucky to rob them. But Tang Fan was wanted by the captain right after he robbed the captain. The city guards knocked on doors and checked every household, but unfortunately found nothing. In order to deliver the goods in time, the city guards urgently issued a purchase task. Each mercenary team and bounty hunter group was forced to hand in 30 mutant creatures. Moreover, they must be handed in before 3 p.m. Otherwise, they will be expelled. This call for recruitment caused a lot of dissatisfaction. Many teams did not even sleep and fought all over Canberra. For a time, Canberra became a battlefield for fighting mutant creatures. Even so, many teams with small numbers still did not complete the task of 30. Seeing that the number of mutant creatures on Canberra was getting smaller and smaller and the time was getting closer, the city guards could not sit still. They began to organize all the mercenaries and bounty hunters to head towards the next planet. Tang Fan led the team members and divided them into 2 groups, heading in different directions. With every step forward, Tang Fan and his subordinates became more nervous. In a prosperous city like Canberra, mutants are everywhere. The situation on other planets in the Gamma Star region is even more serious. The planet Emira, which is on the edge, has become a paradise for mutants. The lush land is now only a desert. The vegetation has been eaten up by mutants, and the microorganisms and minerals in many places have not been spared. Tang Fan shared the scenes in front of him with Lan Yuan and Song Yuanshi with a cold face. Without waiting for the 2 people's response, he turned around and devoted himself to the cause of killing mutants. Not for nutrients, nor for credit points. As a soldier, it is their responsibility to protect the residents of the Alliance behind them and every inch of the Alliance's land. The greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. As a colonel of the expeditionary force, he has the responsibility and obligation to rush to the front. Because, being able to eliminate a mutant creature may save many innocent residents of the Alliance and gain more survival resources. This is the meaning of the existence of soldiers, and it is also the meaning of his existence. Under the leadership of Tang Fan, all his men were bloodthirsty. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, when the city guard came to pick up people, Tang Fan's team gained the most. This made Tang Gang gain the friendship of the captain of the city guard. But this did not make Tang Gang feel any better. He took a sample of each mutant creature he saw, put it into a portable instrument, did various analyses, and sent it to Mr. Li Bangsha. This is the greatest help he can give at present. The scene sent back by Tang Gang was shocking and put everyone under great pressure. Although the data he gave Mr. Li Bangsha a great help, Mr. Li Bangsha and everyone in the team wanted the sample in Tang Gang's hand more. But no one knew the status of Canberra, and no one dared to rashly make this unreasonable request. After all, the situation in the Gamma Star field has not been a day or two. Being able to hide it from most people in the Alliance is definitely not something that a city guard can do. No one is sure who their backers are. In the end, it was Song-si who took the initiative to volunteer and cross the defense zone of the Blackwater Army in the name of communication. Using the latest stealth equipment, driving the black-level mecha built by Tang Fan himself, he came to the vicinity of the Gamma Star region and contacted Tang Gang secretly. A gentleman does not stand under a dangerous wall. The son of the Marshal, the colonel of the Alliance, suddenly appeared in this remote place, and Tang Gang could not help but frown. Song-si was not unaware of Tang Gang's resistance, but in this situation, who else could get Tang Gang's complete trust except himself? Tang Gang also understood this truth. Although he did not agree, he still told him the coordinates of the space buckle filled with 3,000 mutant creatures in a special way of the expeditionary army. Song-si came secretly and left quietly, taking only a space buckle. Soon, Grandpa Li Bangsha sent a feedback message. The simple 2 words received made Tang Gang's burden much lighter. In order to further relieve Tang Gang's pressure, Marshal Song Yuanchi Song successively transferred 4 teams from other legions and came to the Gamma Star region in the name of mercenaries. The city guards were both happy and sad about their arrival. The pain was that the more people there were, the more difficult it was to supervise. The happiness was that the more people there were, the more they could harvest and the greater the profit. It was easier to fish in murky waters. With more harvests, it became very easy to steal a few mutant creatures. As for samples, naturally, the more the better. Chapter 150 Communication. The space buckles were filled one after another, but there was no way to send them out. The name of communicating with the Blackwater Army can only be used once, and it is not appropriate to use it again. Lan Yuan and Song Yuanshi racked their brains, but they could not think of any solution. Tang Fan overheard an ear and smiled and came up with an idea. Isn't the once-in-4-year college joint quality competition about to start? Did the organizer have a little problem? The Blue Sea Mecha Academy can step up and take the initiative to take on this important task. This is the first time to host such a big event. Isn't the Blue Sea Mecha Academy inexperienced? As the dean of the Blue Sea Mecha Academy, the organizer, it is normal to borrow land from the Expeditionary Army and ask for experience from the Blackwater Army. Keep in touch at all times, and go to learn from each other every few days. It is absolutely possible. It is even possible to send a learning exchange group for long-term learning and communication. Tang Fan's proposal received widespread support from everyone. Lan Yuan and Song Yuanshi immediately took action and got the right to host this college joint quality competition at all costs. After the decision of the 2 big bosses Lan Yuan and Song Yuanshi, Tang Fan, the proposer, was sent to the base of the Blackwater Army to study and visit relatives. Hearing this decision, Tang Fan felt like he was shooting himself in the foot, and almost vomited blood. Tang Fan was about to refuse, but he accidentally saw Lan Yuan and Song Yuanshi put forward an alternative plan, Zhao Jingshu. Tang Fan swallowed the words that were on his lips. Although Zhao Jingshu has a high talent in mecha design and is a teacher in the mecha driving department of the Blue Sea Mecha Academy, in fact, her mecha driving skills are not even comparable to George, a senior student in the command department. If Tang Fan encounters danger, he may still have the strength to fight. But Zhao Jingshu is basically finished no matter what situation she encounters. In the Gamma Star field, mutant creatures are everywhere, and purple-level mechas are as numerous as dogs. The most abundant thing is danger. Her father had nothing but loyalty. He finally managed to get a wife, but he let Lan Yuan and Song Yuanshi mess around and lost her. Her father might be single for life. For her father's lifelong happiness, Tang Fan took on the task without hesitation even though she knew it was a conspiracy, and set off on the journey to the Blackwater Army base. However, Tang Fan said that a single tree cannot make a forest, and she needed to ask for support for such a difficult task. Lan Yuan and Song Yuan. She agreed without hesitation, and they would give anyone from the Blue Sea Mecha Academy and the expeditionary force to Tang Fan. Tang Fan was really not polite. Based on the principle of getting things done with acquaintances, she recommended the 4 freeloaders and the general of teacher Go Xiaogu. As a fixed partner who had been together since the entrance examination, she and the 4 freeloaders had a tacit understanding, trust, and cooperation that were completely unmatched by others. Moreover, in terms of professional matching, the matching of the 5 of them was also very reasonable. The most important thing is that the Blackwater Army is completely the territory of George and Qin Yi. With the 2 of them, it would be easy to do anything. Although Tang Fan felt that their 5-person team could solve all the problems, he still brought Go Xiaogu with him. First of all, the idea that a person with no knowledge of the subject is not reliable is deeply rooted. Without a teacher, the curious eyes along the way can bury people. Secondly, this guy is a direct descendant of Lan Yuan and Zhao Jingshu's cousin. He is considered one of us and is trustworthy. Thirdly, this guy's martial arts value is one of the best in the Blue Sea Mecha Academy. It is absolutely right to pull him out to do hard labor and thugs. On the surface, everyone went to the Blackwater Army to learn experience under the leadership of teacher Go Xiaogu. In fact, the core of this group of people is Tang Fan, who holds a spatula in one hand and draws a design in the other. Yes, even when he went out on a mission, Tang Fan's hands were not idle. Either he was cooking or he was fiddling with mecha-related things. Of course, she would occasionally do something else. For example, she would play around with starship-related gadgets. Faced with Tang Fan, who was obsessed with studying and couldn't extricate himself, the 4 people who were eating for free were under great pressure. For a time, the enthusiasm for learning on the starship heading to the Blackwater Army base was unprecedentedly high. Even teacher Go Xiaogu couldn't help but pick up the basics of mecha casting that he had forgotten for many years and humbly began to learn. After studying hard for many days, the group was finally liberated when they saw the Blackwater Army base. Go Xiaogu couldn't wait to put down the basics of mecha casting and eagerly chatted with Colonel Tan, who was docking. George and Qin Yi were like 2 fish returning to the sea. They were able to guide Tang Fan, Brad and Zhao Fan with ease, and eagerly introduced the Blackwater base, just like children who were eager to show their toys to their friends. With Tang Fan's memory, he quickly figured out the situation of the Blackwater base and quickly calculated. But before Tang Fan could figure it out, he unexpectedly saw his old acquaintance at the Blackwater base. What a coincidence. Dr. Song, why are you here? Song Tong shook his head. Unfortunately, I was waiting for you here. Tang Fan frowned. Waiting for me? Could it be that Marshal Song has some instructions? Song Tong curled his lips. We have known each other for a while. Don't you know me yet? Am I the kind of person who doesn't come to see me for no reason? Tang Fan waved his hand to interrupt Song Si's words and answered affirmatively. I am sure you are. When Song Tong heard this, he felt bad. Little classmate, you see through but don't say it, do you understand? As a medical worker, Song Tong kept chattering, while reluctantly stuffing a space buckle into Tang Fan's hand, and whispered, the latest type of stealth equipment, there is an instruction manual inside, you study it carefully. He raised his head and started to talk again. This ability to talk to himself, the performance of switching between 2 voices and attitudes freely, made Tang Fan dumbfounded. However, as smart as Tang Fan is, she also understood one thing, the Blackwater Army is not a monolithic entity, and she must proceed with caution. This realization gave Tang Fan a headache. The difficulty of the mission was much higher than she expected. It seemed that her original plan would not work. She had to adapt to local conditions and make a new plan. Tang Fan fiddled with the stealth device she got from Song Tong, and her mind was running like a revolving lantern. But she thought of several ways in a row, but she rejected them all. Tang Fan suffered from complete insomnia on her first night at the Blackwater base. The next day, Tang Fan had a pair of panda eyes, and forced herself to be alert. She followed at the end of the team, and did not forget to take notes when she encountered key points. This attitude towards learning is simply amazing. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.